Love to hear it. Guys, let's dive into this. No more waiting. The guys that are late, they're late. It should have been early. John, let me give you a quick intro. For the people that don't know John, if you're living under the rock, John, introduced you earlier, a great friend of mine, straight shooter, partner at Integrity Marketing, partner. We don't even know his title, some fancy title at FFL. His agency did more than or just over 200 million last year. That's insane. That's insane. Correct me if the number's wrong, but I think it's over 200 million last year, which is insane. And so I wanted to bring him into the syndicate and also open it up to the public because I know this guy has immense value that he can give. I know that he has an amazing tracker because he's been working alongside with my wife and her PR agency. And so I got to firsthand to see it. And I was like, the guys need to see this. The guys need to hear it from the source. So John, I appreciate you coming on, man.
You got it, dude. Happy to be part of it. Always enjoy connecting with you, and if I can help some other people figure this shit out a little quicker than they would otherwise, I feel like I've done a good job for the day. So enjoy being part of it. Yeah, we did as a group. I get credit for the entire thing, but I have a ton of people that help and contribute to everything we're doing. And yeah, it was like 209 million this year, which is wild to think. 10 years ago, I tried to quit because I couldn't figure out how to like sell more than one policy a month. You know what I mean? So it's, for me, I feel like I can relate to the average agent. I feel like the beginning of this thing was certainly a struggle for me to figure out not only sales, but people and human interaction and kind of the game of insurance, and when I was talking to your wife earlier, we were kind of going through, working on some content. And when I really learned like how to kind of gamify this thing, which some people don't like when I say that, because it's like, it's important and it's life insurance. I'm like, yeah, I hear you. But at the end of the day, people talk about it being a numbers game. And for me, when I realized what my number was, like if I give X amount of activity, if you keep up with it for just a little while, you can kind of figure out you're going to have Y income. X activity equals Y income. Like there's always some ratio, and I think people get stuck, man. Like people see leaderboards, right? And they go, yeah, the leaderboard, the guys at the top, they're like wizards and genius and rock stars and, and people that are looking at it. I remember looking at the top and being like, man, they must be like phenomenal at sales and have really great scripts and have like magic leads and, like all the stuff. And what I learned, man, is like, that's not really comparing apples to apples. When you're looking at different, because there's things that go into the numbers on the leaderboard, right? And what's not typically shown when you see numbers is the amount of activity that it took to get to those numbers, right? And so I started like kind of looking at and analyzing my own personal activity because someone challenged me, right? Because I was trying to figure out how to get to multiple six figures, and I was pissed because I was full-time and I was more at the bottom of leaderboards and just getting by. I mean, I was making okay money, but it was nothing phenomenal. And I was looking for the like secret pill. You know what I'm saying? And the dude kept telling me it's all about leads and appointments, right? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I hear you, but what do I say to the leads? And what kind of leads? And what time do I call the leads? And what's the best? Do I let it ring 3 times or 4 times? And I was that dude that analyzed every stupid thing you could analyze. And he kind of laughed and he was like, dude, how many people do you see? And when I told him my number, he laughed at me, right? Because he was confused on why I expected to be rich when I was only trying to communicate, present to 10 people a week, and I didn't understand because I'm like, oh, I thought that was a lot. And then when I asked how many he was doing, he was like, dude, I'm going out like 100 a month, and I was like, to me, it was a reality check because I'm like, this cat's working significantly more than I am in terms of attempts, And when I looked at mine, I was like, all right, I'm running this many appointments, I'm making this much money, right? And what I love about the average is, for me, I struggled with the negatives of the business, meaning when people canceled, or they hung up on me, or they told me they didn't fill something out, or they told me they already got it, or all the stuff. You know what I mean? No shows and the chargebacks and like all those things bothered me. I'm pretty, I can be by default pretty emotional or pretty negative by default. I'm not like, I don't wake up like my cup is half full kind of guy. That's not my default. I have to work on that. And so the negative part gave me a really shitty attitude, and a really shitty attitude affected the way I communicated with people. And that way I communicated with people also affected my lack of sales too. Like they felt it, you know? But when I started looking at my averages, I was like, I was showing your wife today, dude, in 2013, I was part-time. I was really bad. I was making maybe 200 phone calls a month, like for the entire month. Right. And but I was making like $4,000 a month at the time. And I felt like I was failing, and I didn't know how to get out of my job and get into this full time. But one day I decided to look at the few hundred phone calls, right? And then I looked at the $4,000 a month, and I just divided one by the other. And the math equaled, I was making $17 every phone call. Right? I was only making $4,000. But when I took the 300 dials or whatever the total was, right? $4,000 divided by the 300 or whatever, it was $17.50 a dollar. Like I opened up the spreadsheet from 2013, and me and Alexis looked at it today from like my actual one I used. And for me, that number was game changing for me, because I felt like I was failing. But then I realized with all the negative things all factored in, at $17 a phone call, I was like, what? I'm making what? A phone call? Now, granted, I'm not making many phone calls, but $17 every time I make one, I'm like, yo, you know how many people I'm going to call now? Because that was my number. My activity equaled that deposits, and it factored everything else in. And from that point forward, man, I started looking at this as a complete game, because to be honest, I don't care what you tell me. If I call it $20 every time I make a phone call, dude, you could tell me you want to eat my children. If I call you again, I'm like, I've made $20. I'm gonna call you right back. I just don't, that removed the emotion from me. You know what I'm saying? I was like, such a simple activity. And maybe some people hear that number and they think it's a big number. I'm telling you, I sucked ass. I was barely working, and I was at a 50 comp, and my number was still 17. Like if people actually track their shit, they would see that they're actually making a significant amount of money per activity. And I've done this a zillion times, and I've spoken on stages in front of obscene thousands of people, and I interact and I engage. And not one time ever have I spoken to an agent who's unhappy with their result. Not once ever have I found an agent that, when you add up the amount of time they spend attempting to call clients and presenting to clients, if you only add, like I always say, if there were a timer, every time you talk to someone, imagine a timer went off. And as soon as you hang up, you turn the timer off. And the next time you talk to someone, as a timer starts, and then it hangs up. And when you present to someone, there's a timer. And as soon as you're done presenting, it's off. Not once in my career have I spoken to an agent and we look at their numbers and it equal 40 hours. Not once in my career. You know what I'm saying? So for me, what I did is I looked at my activity and my phone calls and my presentations and my recruiting calls, and I said, I'm going to give myself credit for 1 minute per phone call. I'm going to give myself credit for 1 hour per full presentation, not the stupid presentation for 3 minutes where they hang up on you, like a real one. And I'm going to give myself credit for 20 minutes per recruiting call. And I came up with a formula. I'm like, if I do 600 phone calls, right, at a minute each, that's 10 hours of work. If I present to 20 people, a full presentation, that's 20 hours. And if I did 30 recruiting interviews a week, I can do 3 an hour. That's 10 more hours. So 10 hours on the phone, 20 hours presenting, 10 hours recruiting. I was going to get to 40 hours with those 3 things. Bro, I went from mediocre to rich, like overnight. Like it happened fast, dude. I don't know how. I think you've been around a long time, Mark. You've seen me early and raw. You know, like my shit changed quick, dude. And that's all I did was work 40 hours in very productive time. Like I wouldn't count this, what we're doing now. I didn't count calling carriers. I didn't count following up with clients. I didn't count doing your pending. I didn't count doing leads or train. Like none of that. I was going to do 40 hours doing those 3 things. And bro, my world literally flipped upside down. That year, my income, I issued 4 times what I'd ever issued before. My income tripled. Obviously, back end money kicked in the following year. So my income tripled the first year. It doubled again the second year from that number. And then the third year, it tripled again. So you can do basic math. Say I was at 70 grand. You can do really simple math and figure out, like, I was making 7 figures within 2.5 years, dude, of that. One decision. Yeah. You know, and it's like, I love all the other trainings and stuff. You know what I mean? And I think they have some level of importance. But I think the problem is, it's like, you know how clients go like, they couldn't afford it. And the agent believes it, right? Yeah. They can't afford it, and y'all believe it. And the only reason you believe it is because you put the insurance at the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Whereas I sold, I put the insurance maybe second, third, fourth. Like you need a fucking house and you need your car. Like I get all that. But like, I didn't put it above dining out 3 times a week and Netflix. You know what I mean? So in my head, the priority of insurance wasn't at the bottom. When you say you can't afford it, when they say they can't afford it and you believe them, you believe insurance is the last bill to be paid. Does that make sense?
No, total sense.
So it was like, it was shifting it up there. And, you know, I think for me, dude, it was like the activity became first in the training and all the other stuff that you do need, overcoming objections and scripts. And I ain't mad at all that stuff, but agents put that shit first. And they put activity down here, like it's insurance. Does that make sense? And I'm like, nah, activity needs to go first. And then the other stuff isn't as important. And some people argue that. And I'm like, here's the thing, dude. With the activity, you will get the skill set you want. And name something that you can get better at with limited activity. Like, give me one. You know what I mean? You know, and I use crazy examples because people can understand it. And I'm like, Pete is amazing at sales training, dude. Okay?
Insane.
But if you don't work enough, right? It's like, if I'm going to go play, if I'm going to go put you guys on the same call. Yeah, dude,
right?
The combo is bananas.
We're going to press them on the basics that you have to cover, because none of the shit that Pete's going to teach you is going to matter if you can't do it.
If you don't do it.
With constantly.
Correct. So. And the example I always give to people is like, I'm learning to play golf with Maddox. So my youngest son is 12 and he's in 6th grade, and some of his buddies started playing golf. We literally live like 2 seconds from a country club, and we're members there, and he goes to a little private school where all the kids, it's like spoiled little kids that get to go to the damn country club after school. It is what it is. So his buddies are starting to play golf. So he got interested in it and he got like kind of addicted. So I've started to play with him. So him and I are learning to play golf together. And I always say, imagine if I had access to Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods was going to train John Wetmore every day on everything he knows about golf. He's going to give me all his best tips, what to do in the sand, what to do when the weather's like this, what club to use in this, how to do my elbow, how to do all of it. But I only play golf once a month. Dude, is any of that shit that Tiger tells me going to be worth it? It means nothing. Does that make sense? It's irrelevant. Now, if I had Tiger Woods and I played golf every day, right? And now he's working on my game a little bit every day, and I go practice and he tells me what to do. And I practice again, and he tells me what to do. And I practice. Bro, I'm going to get good really fast. Right? But everyone wants the newest club. The TaylorMade that just came out, the QI 10, we need it. Dude, you suck. It doesn't matter.
You lead.
You know what I'm saying? And it's the same in insurance, dude. And it's like an epidemic, man, where people like are trying to find the magic pill, and the magic pill is work. And I've learned, dude, people really think they're working more than they are. Like when I go on an event, I'm like, who's full time here? Everyone raises their hand. And then when I do the math, right? I did this one event one time, bro. Because I usually do it one-on-one. I'm like, hey, how many dials are you doing? How many presentations? How many recruiting calls? And we do the math like I just did. On average, the average agent comes up to about 12 hours a week. That's when you do those three things. This one time, I'm in this event. Yeah. So I'm in this event, bro. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it different. I want to know who in the room makes the most phone calls a week. Who thinks they got the most? Right? A couple of people raise their hand. They're like, they feel like they do. The number one guy in the room of, I don't know, there were 200 insurance agents who all said they were full-time. The number one person made 800 phone calls a week. All right? So you go 800 divided by 60. It came out, that's 13 hours of phone calls. Okay? Then we did who runs the most appointments in the room. And in the entire room, does the most presentations. Who does the most presentations? I think we got to like, someone did like 15. Right? So I'm like, all right, an hour. It was a different person. So we got the number one person in dials, spent 13 hours a week on the phone. The number one person doing presentations was like 15 hours of presentations. And then recruiting in the room, the biggest number was like 8 a week. So I'm like, all right, so that's like 2 hours of recruiting, 3 hours of recruiting. So when we combined and we built like a transformer robot insurance agent, like a fake, like what, and the hours came out to 32 hours using everybody in the room's top number. You know what I mean? And I'm like, if we could just learn to spend 40 hours making phone calls and doing presentations, your world will change fast. You know, and most people aren't willing to do it. And then some people, I love them. They go, I do it, but I don't have lead money. Bro, you seen Chase the sign? Change it to, do you need life insurance? And go stand outside. Someone will buy from you. Bro, I got a guy on my team. Dude, I got a guy on my team who's afraid to buy leads. He issued 400 grand last year and he didn't buy one lead. He cold door knocks 100 houses a day, 100 doors a day. And he did 400 grand. I have no sympathy, bro, when a grown adult's like, I don't know what to do. Bro, there's 400 million people out there that need insurance.
I just pulled up our stats from the outbound dialer, which logs how much time they're logged into the dialer.
Okay, cool.
And
what's it
the
say?
maximum amount of the maximum time that we have logged in right now is 20 hours and 55 minutes, so 21 hours
For the week.
That gave them 6.5 hours of talk time.
That's what I was gonna say. Talk time. So talking.
Yeah, talk time. 6.5 hours.
But when you're not talking, it don't count. Fair?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell agents is like.
But login time, like you have to be in there. You have to be in there a lot longer than just 20, right?
There's a big difference.
It costs you a lot more time, right?
Yeah,
of course. But those are the only that's the only hour that matters. Sorry.
Yeah. All I try to help people understand, and you get agents that go, I dialed all day and I didn't book any appointments. Do most agents take all day to dial? They don't actually dial all day. Does that make sense? They spread 100 dials out over the course of 12 hours and say, I dialed all day. I'm like, no. And imagine this, right? Let's just say, can you see how many? Well, they're inbound. That's an inbound number, right? You muted. It's outbound?
Sorry, yeah, that was
that was an outbound number?
We would have a lot more conversations in the inbound.
Yeah. So let's just say, for argument's sake, we want to work a full day, 8 hours. Like the average dipshit in America, 8 hours. Not like an earth-shattering number. Right? Like people in situations work 20-hour days all the time. I'm saying 8 hours. Nothing crazy. If I had a gun to your head and said, if you hang up this phone at all, if it's not ringing, how many phone calls could you make in 8 hours? You mean like, bro, it'd be an obnoxious amount. You know what I'm saying? But people don't hold themselves accountable to that. They make one out. Dude, my favorite thing to do is grab someone's phone.
That's stats of you actually manually dialing. Like
Correct.
down leads.
Correct. Yeah, I'm all manual on my cell phone, bro.
Anything else.
Correct.
See, and like if I pulled today, the guy that logged in for the most today was 5 hours, and he technically made
that's part-time. Dude, yeah. 5 hours is part-time on every job on the planet.
Yeah.
And then you want to complain that maybe he's not complaining. And hey, if I'm talking to anybody and you got money, high five.
Making money.
I ain't mad at you.
Money.
You know what I mean? I ain't mad at that guy. I love that guy. Or if you're satisfied with where you're at, I love you too. And my thing is, dude, this doesn't have to be forever. You don't have to have stupid high activity for the rest of time. You have to do it for a window to where then, combined with working with someone like Pete, your skill set gets so high, you can fucking print money in 5 hours. But if you're broke, like, what are we doing? The solution is not complicated, right? Is it hard? I don't know. Is it really hard to work 40 hours? I don't know, dude. It seems pretty simple. You know what I mean? I've been working 70 hours a week since I was 16. So I don't have, you know what I mean? You have a baby in high school, you start working. So, you know, and for me, and the only reason I say that is when I came into the business, again, I was part-time for a year. First of all, the full story, I applied to be an insurance. Yeah. So I tried to get into insurance.
You started this business. You were 16 years old. So you had a kid. And how long have you been in the business? And what trials and tribulations have you gone over? And maybe we're about to get to it, but it's been a long time.
Hey,
you can get to $200 million.
Nah, in insurance or trials and tribulations in life? Because I got
everything. You can go both.
Yeah, I mean, my first kid on the way at 16. I have 5 total. I had 4 by the time I was probably 28, something like that. You know, welfare, government housing. I grew up single teenage mom also. I was an adult living on government housing. By the time I was, let me see, what year was it? 2008. I was 31. I had a bankruptcy, 2 foreclosures, and a car repoed, and a divorce. When I met my wife, Stephanie, I was living in one of those, like, you know, by the interstate, those like pay by the night motel where the door's on the outside. Like, I was living in one of those. That's how so everyone that goes like, she's with you for the money. Oh no, she was paying my bills when we were first together, to be clear. Right. So, yeah, man, I had a lot of child support, alimony. I couldn't pay it, like lots of trouble there. That was tough. You know, and then insurance, man, I tried the first time I applied to an insurance position, an ad, it was a Craigslist mortgage protection ad, was 2008. Okay. I told the guy, send me to class. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to knock it out. All right. I got my license in March of 2010. So 2 years to get my license. I picked up the phone once, made 30 phone calls. They told me to fuck off and I quit. So I then took 2 years before I booked my first appointment. So I didn't book my first appointment until August of 2012. So 08, March of 2010, got my license. August of 2012, I booked my first appointment. And then I did that for a year. I made decent money part-time. I probably grossed like 60 grand my first year part-time, which wasn't bad. And then 2014 was my first year full-time. I deposited just over 100 grand. I probably netted like 70 or 80 after leads and travel, shit like that. But like, I was also trying to recruit when I was part-time. So I started recruiting in 2012, and I'd be driving to my accounting job doing recruiting calls on my commute. And I did, because I'm a numbers nerd, I tracked them. I did 700 interviews in my first 2 years. That recruiting interviews, 700. At the end of 2014, 2 years later, I had one agent. His name was John Wetmore. Okay. So 700 interviews, no agents. Now, some got started and quit, and got started and quit, and got started, played back in. What's up, Mama? Oh, hell yeah. Look at it. Hold on. Look. Come here. Look, Jake. Oh, wifey bringing me presents.
So I don't know. I'm gonna expose John right now. I had the pleasure of being able to sit for dinner with John. I was in Missouri, and my Canadian ass was introduced to what a lemon drop is. Probably the girliest drink I've ever drank in my life. But that's his go-to. Just for disclosure, you think he's a beer guy or rum and coke? He's drinking a girly martini. No offense, girls.
Look, hold on. Look, hey.
It's kind of cute, guys.
Look. Deep Eddies and Pink Prime.
That's hilarious.
No challenge.
That's how we roll. So, you know, when agents, again, I had a guy I talked to last week, and he was upset about his recruiting numbers. And I'm like, how many people do you talk to? He's like, well, I've been doing it for like 2 months. I talk to like 2 or 3 people a week. I'm like, okay, fucking cute. You know what I mean? Like, okay. I talked to 700 and had none, but I knew it could work. And I realized I was the problem. I was doing something wrong. I wasn't following. I was doing things based on my own perception of what was correct. Right? Like, you ever have an agent call you and they like, hey, I need training on this. Right? I need help with phone script. I need help with in-home. I need help with objections. I'm like, hold on. You are the agent that sucks. I was the agent that sucked. And I was trying to dictate what I needed training on. Right? And I'm like, that's probably not the smartest thing ever. Versus getting to a point where I could go to someone like yourself, Pete, myself, and be like, yo, dude, why am I bad? Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, being vulnerable and opening up and owning your shit instead of blaming the client and blaming the lead and you ever hear that one? My area, you know, they just don't buy insurance in my area. I'm like, I want to choke those agents, dude. You know what I mean? I'm like, you just think they don't love their family in your area? You know what I'm saying? But that's a common thing I've heard over the years. You know, so dude, for me, there's been a lot of things, man, but it starts with activity because that trumps everything. You know what I mean? And my thought process is, if you aren't doing enough activity, I'm not good enough to get you rich. I don't, you know what I mean? So if your expectation is to make 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, be in the top handful % of income in the country, and you're part-time, says the hours that we track, that Chase tracks, my thought is I like to go through people's numbers and see what the hours add up to, and they'll answer. I'm like, hey, Mark, how many calls do you make? What's that equal? And I'll get them to walk through the math. And then I go like, I love to do this. We'll come up with 12 hours, right? And I'm like, all right, dude, that all makes sense. They're like, yeah, I mean, I kind of figured that was the answer. And I'm going like, next time you're negative or upset about your situation and you're mad you only made $3,200 this month, I want you to call everyone you know that's not in insurance, that has real jobs, that work 40 hours a week, plus overtime, plus commutes, right? And I want you to bitch to them that you're upset you made $3,000 part-time, 12 hours a week. And let me know what they said. And no one's ever called me back. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so, and again, the reason I can be that way is because I was that agent, dude. I was that guy. And that's all I changed, was being real with myself on how little effort I was putting into wanting. Again, think about this. I always say this. Imagine this was a sport. Imagine insurance is a professional sport, right? And there's a draft. And the only way you can get in the league is by being one of the elite in the profession, right? It's a dime a dozen how many athletes can catch a football. It's not that deep. They're a dime a dozen how many can throw a football, who throw a spiral and throw 60 yards. They're everywhere. What do they look at? They look at the intangibles, how they take care of their body in the off season, how well they study the playbook, how they treat the refs and their teammates, how good you know what I mean? Like they're looking at all these intangible things, right? And I'm like, just pretend for a second every day when you wake up in your career, where you say you want, there's no chance everyone's in this business to not make multiple six figures. I don't believe anyone gets into this like, I want to make 52 grand. I don't buy it. So my assumption is people want to earn professional level money. Fair? And if that's not you, ignore me. But we're going to assume everyone on here wants to earn professional level money. If we had a draft, would you even be considered, much less picked, based on your everyday work ethic?
Oof.
You know what I'm saying? And dude, everyone on here would be like, nope, because they know. So I go at every day because business is like that, dude. Do you think Integrity's looking at me and having me a partner because I'm fucking mediocre? No. And if I get too excited that I hit a certain income level and I slow down, do you think they're going to be excited? You know what I mean? People are like $200 million. You know what I think? Bro, I'm a fucking rounding error to Integrity. The dude who started Integrity, it's 25 billion. 25 billion.
You're a peanut.
Dude, I am legit a rounding error. I've done nothing in the world of insurance. So what does that say to y'all that can't figure out 50 grand, 100 grand? I can't figure out how to make 150 grand. One man, his company's doing 25 billion. And you're struggling to make 100 grand, 200 grand? Like what? Now I can relate because I was there. But I'm telling you, by far and away, it's your activity level that's causing you a lack of success. I would bet my house that everyone that's unhappy with their income would not get picked if this were a draft because they don't work hard enough. And think athletes. Get the agent that's like, my mom had a picnic and I had to go. You right? My car had a flat tire and I had an appointment at direct tire today to get it changed. Bro, professional athletes show up on Sunday when there's a death in the family, when they have babies. They miss weddings. They miss like everything in their family's lives to be a professional. And I'm not saying you have to, but I'm saying like, dude, it's not that unordinary to miss stuff. And what's crazier, bro? Can you imagine all the people in here that are not having success with insurance? Can you imagine if their favorite athlete didn't show up on Sunday because their cousin had a picnic? And it like Mahomes is like, I can't play Sunday. My family has a picnic and they're going to be really mad if I don't go. You know how stupid that would be?
Why entrepreneurship becomes almost a lonely place, because
It is
not
a
a lot of
lonely
people
place,
are
dude.
willing to do that. And how do you become the elite? Is you be the person that prioritizes those basics every day. You don't sit around and let the life consume what really needs to get done. And if you can get so predictable, and I have to say this because a lot of guys that are in our program, Syndicate members, guys that put the one in the chats, is you have a very predictable way. So all you have to do is just activity. You don't have to worry about where your next conversations come from. You just have to be logged in to do it. And It's the consistency over time. Our top performers in our program, Mark Jameson, I'm going to call him out in a little bit when you're done. But that is, Mark, I love you, and this is no bash, but it's not like he's some elite sales guy who has all the secret sauces. The only reason that Mark is like our top performer every freaking month is because I know at 9 a.m. I hear the little ding ding. There's Mark.
He's in.
And he logs out every day at the same time. And he's there, consistency. So he might have bad days, he might have bad weeks, he might have bad months, but he's consistent. Over 250 days, he's there. And it all just narrows down to the basics, as you were saying. And it's frustrating. It's super frustrating because we'll have guys that come in and have a great month. their next month have a shit month, and then they say the leads screw up. No, you had a great first month, and now your extension is screwed. Or we'll have somebody has their first month that's shit, and it's you got to look at it over the 6 month, the year of putting in the numbers each day, and know that you have the predictability with our programs. You don't have to think about all the ins and outs of lead fluctuation, cost fluctuation. You play a flat fee, and it's done for you. Anyway, sorry, my just a plug in there, but just wanted to add that because I struggle with that a lot.
I think with what you're doing, you're making it obnoxiously easy for people to have success. It's pathetically easy to have success working with you. But most people aren't willing to do what it takes. And again, if you're like, I don't have the lead money, bro, there's 9 million ways to find clients. This is not that deep. Like, stop overcomplicating shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally go stand in front of a Walmart and ask 700 people tomorrow if they need life insurance. Someone's going to say yes, but y'all won't do it.
I put a cardboard cutout at a convention. Luckily, I got it on stage from John. But we've had people just reach out. What do you do? Like, it's just a cardboard sign. I have it right here, guys. It's literally, I went to the extent of I only have a cardboard sign, and I developed our entire brand off of a fucking cardboard sign.
Yeah.
If you don't think you don't have an ability to build a brand, build a team, and build a business, you're overcomplicating this shit.
People do, man. I think I can tell you that I overcomplicated it because I wanted to validate why I was lacking success. And I didn't want to blame myself. And at some point, man, I had to look myself in the mirror and be like, I am the common denominator in everything. Every lead company I used, it was me. Every carrier I used, it was me. It was all me. I was 36 years old, dude, when I found insurance. And thank God I did. A buddy hit me up on a DM in Facebook and got me into it, and I'm like, thank God, and I'm grateful the path for me was the way it was, because it's allowed me to speak to people very directly, because I was one of y'all. I didn't come into this thing slinging it, dude. I'm not fucking Pete, bro. Pete's been making money for a long time. He's really fucking good. I'm not a 90% close rate. Pete and I joke a lot. He's like, no chargebacks. I'm like, bullshit, dude. Like, if that's true, amen. He's a unicorn. I built, which I love it. I ain't mad at it. But to say for everyone to think that they can be that elite, right? It's like, what are we talking about? And obviously Pete will be really transparent. He certainly had his ups and downs, and like we all have. You know what I'm saying? But if you go like, who's one of the best at sales? Like in psychology, dude, he's up there. For me, my superpower was I will outwork your ass. Right? Now imagine if you're really good at sales. Like, I had people get mad when I talk about working a lot on social. They like get butthurt. And they do that like, work smarter, not harder.
Not harder.
I'm like, yeah. So someone posted last week, they were like, I did 300 grand and I didn't have to make a single phone call. They just show up on my calendar. And I do it in, and she's like, and I do it in like 12 hours a week or so, whatever it was. And I'm like, hey, Matt, all good. Do though, if you worked 40 hours a week on your skill set, you'd be making almost $1 million. So if you're happy with where you're at, what do I give a shit? All I'm saying is, if you're dissatisfied or you want more, I would bet everything I own that you aren't working as hard as you could based on the things you say you want. Now, if you don't want a bunch of things and you want freedom and you don't want time and again, be clear, I don't mean for the rest of time. Does that make sense? You don't have to do it forever if you do it right. But dude, at the beginning, man, it takes a second, and for me, it was all about the tracking of numbers and really analyzing them and just straight up owning my shit, dude. And I was a disaster, and I was lazy, and I wasn't working for my own potential. I wasn't taking care of my family the way I needed to. I couldn't look my family in the eye and be like, I'm working my mother effing face off to provide for you guys. I couldn't say that at the time, and Today, dude, I've had a lot of help, bro. I have had a lot of people help me in this business. But the one thing, and I've been in lucky positions, I've had good timing with some things, I have cool relationships, I have great staff. You know, I mean, my wife gave me a lot of support. But dude, the one thing no one can ever take away from John Wetmore is I outworked about everyone around me, dude. There were very few people who worked as hard as I did to get to the level I'm at, you know, and I still am on a journey to build more because I'm not satisfied. You know, and it's
do?
What?
Sorry to cut you off, but we need
Nah,
to do
you
like a
did.
90-day challenge. Who can keep up with the Wetmore? We got to do like, I'm going to do 90 days of just writing business. See if somebody can compete. You know, we'll find who the lead is.
I'll count my 4 days a week to their 7.
Ooh, that's a challenge. We're coming up with it, guys. I got a couple people that I could shout out in this group that might come close. So I would love to. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. I'm going to cut you off now. Hey, so get this. So the little tracker, do you care if I tell them how to get it? I'm going to give it out. I'm going to give it to them. Can I?
Cool.
You want me to type it in? So Amanda made, I love Amanda. Go ahead.
Amanda is a gem, by the way.
She's a boss, dude. I just text her because I'm getting on here. I'm like, hey, what link should I give them to get it? Because you can get it on the site and there's a thing. And she goes, when are you speaking? I said, I'm literally talking now.
I'm talking right now, Matt. Come on, get it together, Amanda.
She goes on in like 6 minutes, bro. She makes, how do I chat in here? How do I get to a chat? Oh, here it is. So johnwetmore.com. You can get it. There's a little pop-up, but she made a special page for y'all. And it's again, you just sign up. You get a newsletter from me because your wife helps me with it. Right. So we're going to put out training and information and how we do stuff. I'm literally just sharing everything. And I don't have a course to sell any of you. There's no hook here. I'm just giving it out. So johnwetmore.com/elite. Right. If you go there, there's a little form. You'll get an email after a few minutes, like 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. They'll come to you in an email.
Thank you. All right, you did.
Yeah, I just typed it. I think people can see where I just posted it. I think it says in-call messages. So y'all let me know if you can see that link. You literally just go in, you put in your stuff. You will get a newsletter where we're putting out things every week and just updates. And we have a podcast. And so in it, there's a video attached. It's like a 20-minute video where I literally walk through how to use it. It's stupid simple. You literally just plug in basic activities. It'll calculate your totals for the month. It'll calculate your deposits. You can do your lead spend. It'll calculate your hours. It'll calculate how much you make per phone call, per appointment. All that shit's, all the stuff I said is in there. And there's literally nothing. Now I did put some like selfish marketing. So there's like a link to our podcast and my social and shit. Would love if you follow. Because I certainly do my best to help in the industry, and between myself and Chase and some others, like we're building some really cool shit to help a lot of y'all. So this is part of my contribution to just sharing what I've used to have success, man. So
John, I appreciate you so much, man. I've known you for not a long time, but it feels amazing just to be friends with you, but not only be able to extract so much value from you. And I hope that everybody who's listening today got a lot of value today, because it sets you up perfectly for the next guy. But before we get to that, I'd love to open it up. If there's any question you would like to ask John, no question is a stupid question. Please ask anything you would like. We got a couple minutes before Pete gets in. So the floor is yours. Put your hands up. Shay, I will open it up to you. Shay is one of our team members.
Hey, John, I just work here. No, I'm actually in the business development part of here. So when you were talking, I appreciate everything you said, man. I was curious, though, when you said, start with the outbound, it's making it ridiculously easy to be able to, get over that learning curve and kind of get to where you are, you can print money. What, intrinsically is it that you're aiming for by taking all those outbound calls? Like, what happened in that period of time that you kind of developed to be able to print that money, I guess? Like, what is it you found that you needed to work on the most?
Clear. So I want to make sure I answer your question right. What did I need to work on the most? Is that your actual question?
When you said we're going from doing the outbound, and kind of getting over that curve and making it ridiculously easy. So when you're getting to the point of where you are able to take, those live transfers or just start printing money, I'm just curious as like what qualities or characteristics or things it was that you found you needed to work on to get.
Yeah. So, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I'll use a simple example. Are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right.
All right. So let's say you want to learn how to dribble a basketball left-handed. Okay. And you did it for 10 minutes a day, or you did it for 8 hours a day. Which one is going to get you better faster? It's not that deep, right? So for me, the goal was reps, period. There was no other goal. The goal was reps. And with the reps, simultaneously, I was paying attention to the struggles I had. For me, it was intentionality on the phone, right? I was ignoring cues, right? I was talking over people. I was trying to rush through my script. I thought if I said it fast enough before they could hang up, it would be better. I was afraid to kind of slow down. You know, I didn't have good control, right? So my number one goal was reps. And I knew, just like the basketball thing, if I had more reps, I would by default get better. And that's without even anyone helping me, right? Where I took it to the next level was I started making phone calls in front of somebody who was really good. And I allowed him to judge me. Like, I gave him full access to be wide open with me. He's like, bro, you're an asshole on the phone. That was his answer to me. When someone gives you an objection, you turn into an asshole. You get offended and your tonality changes and you literally sound like a dick. Do you really think talking to someone like a dick is going to help you overcome an objection? And I'm like, well, when you say it like that, I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to say no. Because at the time, I did think it would help, to be clear. You know what I mean? So for me, I had to learn how to communicate with people. I had to learn how to dude, I remember getting to a point where I could predict the phone call based on before they you know how when someone goes to answer, there's a breath, they go to breathe in before they say hello. I'm telling you, dude, I could tell based on that if it was going to be a good call or a bad call. I started to be able to pick up cues on people because I was talking to so many. You know what I'm saying? And I was so concerned about the pacing of it that I didn't have time to be concerned about the one person, right? And that combined with someone who was really good on the phone giving me feedback, me accepting that feedback versus blaming the client or the lead or the excuse, and being willing to change my entire personality. I wish with everything in me, I could take y'all back to me 10, 12 years ago, because I didn't know how to communicate with people, period. I didn't know how to ask questions. I didn't know how to control anything. So for me, I just had to learn the control, but I also had to accept that no matter what he told me to say in this situation, whatever the issue was, any objection or any feedback or whatever, none of it was going to work 100% of the time ever. So I had to come up with, when they say, when they pick up and I say who I am and they're like, well, I'm busy, call me later. I had to have a go-to for that. And I had to really believe they couldn't have been that busy. They did pick up. Right? So I had to know that was horseshit. But I had to learn how to overcome it without fighting them, because I always wanted to fight people, right? And when they were like, I already got it, I had to have a strategy for that. And I was going to use one thing all the time, versus some agents try to mix it up. I saw someone post in a Facebook group the other day. They're like, hey, I'm getting on the phone and I'm going to try 4 different phone scripts this week. I'm like, what? No, please don't do that. Let's do one and see what we get. So again, I don't know if this is answering your question, but for me, the number one thing was reps. The number 2 thing was, have any of y'all ever recorded yourself and listened to it? Have you ever done that, Shay? Have you ever recorded yourself on a call and listened to it?
Yeah, man.
It's painful.
Leave your message.
It's painful. You know, and I tell agents, if you record yourself and listen, you don't even have to know what you're doing and you'll hear what's wrong. Because you don't say the shit you think you're saying. You know? And I learned, man, I was missing like there's buying cues and there's objection cues. Like if you get to I want to think about it in a sales presentation, do you know how much shit you missed along the way to get that? Like that ain't the problem. The I want to think about it ain't the problem. It's the 47 things you missed before they said that you still kept going on with your presentation without addressing it. You know what I'm saying? And so on the phone, when you don't have success, there's something you did incorrectly a lot. Sometimes it's just bad timing, dude. Like my mentor used to tell me, you don't know that they didn't just fucking drop their milk from bringing their groceries in the house. And just you caught them at a bad time. You know what I'm saying? And the point of that is, dude, no matter how good you are, they don't all work. So I had to be okay that this was like baseball and I could strike out 6 out of 10 times and be one of the best athletes to ever live in the game. Does that make sense? So I was okay with the failure rate. I needed my reps so that a high failure rate also meant a high success rate.
Okay, so you'd say that it really was your exposure and ability to be able to just really focus and isolate, just finding your footing, really. It's thinking, finding your own.
And again, combined with getting feedback from someone who was really good, changed my world. There's some people who do a lot of activity and they aren't coachable. You keep doing the wrong shit every day. That ain't good either. You know what I mean? So it's the combination of the two. Training with no activity does nothing. Lots of activity with no training can also, it'll have some result. It'll have better result than the first one, but it's still not going to be phenomenal result. It's the combination of the two that really gets it. All I'm saying is I think the activity needs to come first, and then the training, in my opinion, needs to come behind that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's in everything.
It's funny.
I think that's in everything.
Me and Shay actually internally, we literally had this conversation today. We're training a new person in staff, and it's just get them in action first, and then add the bits and pieces later that you need to.
Yeah.
But
the hard part, man. Hey, the hard part,
sorry.
like if I want to provide too much training for someone, like let's say I bring you on and I'm like, hey, you need to do these 47 steps before you get started. I'm by default telling you this is more complicated than it really is. Yeah. So for me, I'll minimize everything. And I'm like, bro, we are all adults. Like, well, I don't know what they need. What do you mean you don't know? They need insurance. Does that make sense? They want to make sure when someone dies, their family's not screwed. This is not that deep. To say that you can't have a conversation, basic level conversation, before you know every underwriting guideline on planet Earth is horseshit. You know, and I'll say things like this, right? Like when we were together, Chase, what was your guy's name that was with you? The kid that did the camera. Paul. All right. So me and Paul met, but we don't know each other at all. Okay. If I forgot my jacket at the restaurant, right? And Paul found it, would he need a phone script to call me to be like, yo, Wetmore? I'd be like, yeah. He'd be like, hey, this is Paul, the dude that you were at the restaurant with Chase. Yeah. Hey man, I was just calling you because you left your jacket at the restaurant. I'm going to be in Atlanta next week. I'm going to swing it by. Are you normally home in the morning or the afternoon? And I'm like, that tonality, that basic level, that was phone script for me. That's insurance. Hey, I'm calling you back about the phone. And I know some of y'all do inbound, all good. But the concept is when I give an example like that relative to outbound calling leads as the example, everyone can understand they wouldn't need a phone script to call me back about my jacket. I'm like, well, why the hell do you need a phone script to call a client back about a form they filled out about insurance? I don't understand. You know what I mean? It's really simple. So,
man, do we got Pete? Do we have Pete in here? Is Pete in here? He just texted me he's in here, but I don't see him. I don't see him yet. Any other questions before we maybe call like a 2-minute go and run to the bathroom, go and grab a drink if you need it. But this next
legend in.
this guy, you're going to want to get your notepad out because this is going to be actionable advice that only works if you use John's advice. so make sure you take what John has said to you today about driving to the basics, making sure that the activity comes first and meaning the utmost importance, getting the failures out of the way because that's going to turn into success. Without that, none of the shit you're about to hear, it's not shit, but none of the stuff you're going to hear in the next hour is going to make any sense.
None of Pete's shit works.
Yeah.
What's up, bro?
Oh, man.
What's up?
What's good, dude? I set you up, dude.
I was just listening to the no nonsense advice, which I love so much.
My man, we have that in common.
Yes.
You know, I that's how I introed you guys today. I said, if there's two people in this industry that are not going to give you any type of bullshit, it's these two guys in front of you right now. So I thought
you teed it up with both of us in the same day. You should have put like a little wuss or something in between us as like a buffer.
Hey, we're bound to get a couple people to quit, Pete.
That's the goal today. I'm sure you had some energy on here before John started talking.
Is Pete lagging for you as well?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Oh no.
The
whole Google
Pete, you gotta sell more insurance, bro, to get that Wi-Fi upgrade.
He'll chase that. I have optimum Wi-Fi, but he uses his bitch ass Google Meet broke ass shit all the time.
He does, dude. I got into his wife about this shit today too, and we switched to Zoom.
God
I'm like,
damn,
cut it out with the Google Meet.
I'll buy it for you. Fuck.
Well, it's not that.
Oh,
Our company
dude.
uses wait. It's not that. It's we use Google for everything, so it just integrates nicely. We just like that.
No,
You're the only person I've met that it doesn't work for. It worked perfectly with John. Anyways, what we'll do is for the guys that are not.
I'm gonna hang out and listen to Pete for a little while too.
For sure.
He's
What I
one
might
of my
have
favorites.
to get everybody to do is shut your cameras off, which I know Pete's gonna hate. Or Pete's gonna shut.
There's
his
only
camera
like
off.
3 people with it on anyway.
Okay. We'll just try. Pete, maybe go on your mobile phone.
Fine. Jesus.
Shit, this sucks. What technical difficulties?
It's okay.
My arch nemesis.
I'm not talking my little
We
baby.
can hear you clearly.
Hey, I'm gonna FaceTime Pete and put him on the screen like this.
I was gonna say maybe I join video on my phone and you can hear me through the computer, and then you guys will be really fucked up.
Boom. Let's do that. Oh man.
Oh Lord.
Try turning your video on now.
Be like an old 5 Deadly Venoms movie.
Yeah. Oh. If he joins on his phone and it works, we know it's his Wi-Fi. Just saying.
My phone's on my
Just
Wi-Fi.
There we go.
Hey, see, it's
Hey,
definitely-
you know, true. Pete ain't no cheap ass either. He's got that good internet, I'm sure.
Where's fucking Mac that I have? That's
I've been out. Hey, I've been out.
Canadians don't
Hey.
understand. Okay,
Canadians don't understand.
I got
It's
silver
too cold.
bars weighing down my Mac right now. Okay,
Oh, yeah. Hey, if you ain't ever been out shopping and out to dinner with Pete, you're missing out.
Yeah.
It's a good
yeah.
fucking
I
time.
want to talk about getting
Great time.
beat up on a call. If anybody wants to feel like a real broke bitch, have Wetmore take you to a store.
Yeah.
I walked out of there with
go
like
to a bar and drink lemon drops.
$9,000 worth of shoes.
Oh, Lord.
Is he you're not going to get them in every color? Why? You like them? Get them in white, red, black, yellow, and tan.
All right, let me intro you, Pete, because now we got you like clear, crystal clear. So, Pete, I've known for
Hell
quite
yeah.
some time now.
Oh,
Pete, I've known for quite some time now. an absolute beast in the industry. If you're a syndicate member, you use his retention process every damn call, and we are extremely lucky to have the ability that he gave that to us, because it's helped every single one of our syndicate members, hundreds of agents come into our agency, and it actually has helped their retention. And that's what he's going to go over today. But this guy is an absolute beast in the industry, two beasts in the industry, and I'm just so thankful to know both of them, and we're so blessed to have direct access to them tonight. So, Pete, I'll let you give yourself an intro. I'll let you kind of dive into it. But yeah, man, appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me tonight. And I appreciate you guys being nimble as shit and having Wetmore beat you over the head for an hour and then having me on too.
I thought it was perfect.
I love it. I love it. So I've been in the industry for a little over 13 years. That's where all this fucking gray hair comes from. I was at two captives when I first started, Northwestern Mutual in college, AIL after that. Went to an independent agency in Amerilife for 6.5 years, was corporate at IFG for a little while. So I was president of sales for an IMO for 2.5 years. And I started All Things Insurance Group, a 43, I say national, but we're in 43 states, 43 statewide IMO in November of 2021. So going into our third year, we went from 14 agents to about 580. I cut about 185 contracts last quarter, because it's not about the number, it's about the people actually writing business, at least in my mind. Some of my accolades, I've had multiple six-figure months on the life insurance side. I went 90 days with no leads and put up $88,000 in premium, just off of referrals and warm market. So if there's one thing I know, even though we do everything now, hence the name All Things Insurance Group, is how to sling life insurance like Wetmore. So Chase asked me today, I know some of you guys have heard this before, and that's okay, because reiteration is super important when it comes from a training perspective. I want to go over our presentation, what I do and what I've taught our agents to do over the last decade that I've been recruiting, as well as our solidification process and retaining the business. Because at the end of the day, and John will probably tell you this if he didn't already, no one gives an ever living fuck how much you submit. It's how much you issue pay and then how much stays on the books, right? Especially on the life insurance side, because chargebacks are inevitable, but we want to keep them at an absolute minimum. So from a presentation perspective, I know a lot of you guys, Chase, most of these people, or all of them, are syndicate members. Yeah.
We'll probably have a half and half situation, I think. Or okay. There's some public guys, but just you can speak to the syndicate members.
All right, cool. So I want to touch on mortgage protection for a little bit, just for those of you that sell it, or we'll call them young people. Anybody under the age of 55 that's healthy. We'll share with you that presentation. And I want to spend some serious time on final expense, because that's probably what all of you guys and gals are actively selling on a daily basis, especially if you're syndicate members. So on the mortgage protection side, or the referral side, or the warm market side, or the young person side, I pitch things a little bit differently, which is why I average $262 a month average policy. And that's one, always doing a 3-option close when you're selling. It's never 2, it's never 5, it's never 1, it's never a spend down. I think that's all horseshit and it doesn't really work. You want to give them 3 options, because the top companies in the world give us 3 options every day. You have Starbucks with their tall, grande, and venti. You got Lowe's theaters with the popcorn, small, medium, and large. Everything looking around your day-to-day is a 3-option close. So I didn't invent that. I just applied what big business was doing to the life insurance market. So on the mortgage protection side, when I'm doing 3 options, and if you're doing a true mortgage protection lead, let's say, and they want $400,000 worth of insurance, we'll just make up a fictitious number, which I don't know many houses that go for 400 anymore, unfortunately, but that's neither here nor there. So 400K. So my option A at the end of the day, as long as they qualify, is always low cost, low value. For me, it's typically, and this is going to break my neck. I don't usually like sitting when I'm training, but I'm going to have to this way. This is okay. So Low cost, low value for me is typically like a fully underwritten term or an accelerated benefit term. You don't have to go full paramed. That's very unnecessary. There are so many companies out there that we could talk about maybe during Q&A that will do accelerated underwriting, 500,000, a million, 2 million, 3 million, no blood or urine. Okay. Why I say low cost, low value is because they're simply buying a death benefit and that's it. Right. The option B for me is typically the same 400,000. We're talking about a $400,000 mortgage here. When you're dealing with trainers or uplines or something like that may do a spend down or say, oh, you can't afford 400,000. How about 200,000? How about 300,000? That never made sense mentally in my mind because I came from a captive. And when I saw a lead for the first time, I was like, holy shit, they're requesting $400,000 worth of insurance to cover their mortgage. Why would I give them anything less? So all these options are based on their true mortgage balance. Okay. So we got option A, fully underwritten term, low cost, low value. Option B we have is medium cost, medium value. And in this case, at least for me, is like a term return of premium, a GUL, maybe an IUL structured for return of premium, something that will break them even at the end of the policy. Okay. So it may be 3 or 4 times the cost, but it nets them zero at the end of the day. And then option C is to scare the ever-living shit out of them. For the same 400,000, I might show a 20-pay whole life if they're young. I might show a whole life term perm combo. I might show an IUL with a term rider attached to it or a separate term policy. Something that they can profit from and make money off of, even though the premium is very expensive. And I just saw a comment pop up, and I apologize now that I'm on my phone, blame Chase for that. Never 3 options from 3 different companies. That's your job. That's not their job. You're going to confuse the ever-living fuck out of them if you're like, and we have Royal Neighbors for this, and we have Prosperity for this, and we have this for this. They're going to be like, well, which one? You're going to be like, I don't know. Right? Make sense? So try to quote the same company. So for mortgage protection, let's say, and I don't want to fix what's not broken. If you don't have access to these carriers, use carriers that you have access to. But back in the day when I was doing mortgage protection, I could be captive to like Foresters or Americo or NLG or Kansas City Life or something of this nature because they had all 3 products. So when I'm pitching mortgage protection to a client, low cost, low value might be, okay, John, for this $400,000 house, option A, okay, is going to be $400,000 for 30 years because that's what you told me how long your mortgage is for, and it's $50 a month. However, $50 a month times 12 times 30 is $18,000. So at the end of this policy, 9 times or 9.9 times out of 10, you're not going to die. You're going to be out 18 grand. And on my sheet of paper or on my Zoom or over the phone, I'll have them write this down, negative $18,000. Now, option 2 for 400,000 is known as a GUL or a term return of premium, wherever the product is. And basically, even though this is $150 a month instead of $50 a month, which sounds really expensive, at the end of this term, when you don't die, because again, 9.9 times out of 10, you're not going to pass away during that term, you're going to get all of your money back. So you're going to net zero on this policy. And I'm either showing them that or I'm telling them to write it down over the phone. And then thirdly, this product is whole life, or it's index universal life, or it's an IUL term perm combo. They don't really care or need to know the specifics at this point in the presentation. But at the end of this, Joe and Mary, it's $600 a month, which sounds really scary, but it gives you a ton of protection. And at the end of the 30 years, when, knock on wood, you don't die, you're going to profit $428,000. So, not talking about premium at this juncture, but would you rather lose 18K? Would you rather net zero? Or would you rather profit $428,000? And shut up and wait. What will happen, thanks, Travis. What will happen is sometimes they will say, okay, I really like that concept of option C, but there's no way in fucking hell I can afford $600 a month. That's okay. What can you afford? Well, we can't go beyond 300. If it's okay with you, Joe and Mary, can I restructure option C to make it more affordable at like $280, $290 a month and still have the same concept? You guys are smart. You just increase the term and decrease the permanent, right? And see at the end what the cash accumulation is going to be versus the premium that they paid. And now, Joe and Mary, using that same $290 a month, well, you don't profit $428,000, but you profit $86,000. Would that make more sense for you? Yeah, that's great. Okay, what's your social? It's not about the premium in this case. It's about what the policy does for them at the end of it. I have a giant term. I'm not negating a term. I'm worth like $5 million in term right now. I probably have to increase that as time goes on. But term's not shit. It's just for a death benefit or for living benefits purposes. So you can harp on that, right? But at the end of the day, people want to know, especially younger people, because we're selfish as fuck. Those of you on the call, I'm 35 years old. For those of you between the ages of probably 25 and 45, a lot of the pitches, at least relevant to life insurance, are selfish, right? So they want to know what the policy is doing for them. So pitch it as such. Make sense? I know I'm going fast, but Chase wants me to cover like everything from Jump Street. So I'm going to fly through this and do some Q&A at the end. All right. So that's mortgage protection, right? On final expense, it's the same concept. But instead of low cost, low value, medium cost, medium value, high cost, high value, you can't really show break evens and stuff like that unless you want to get into like single premium whole life and these sexy ass advanced market concepts, right? If you're slinging just traditional final expense, sling it. Oh, it's blocked by my balloons. It said sling it back there. If you're slinging traditional final expense, how I want you to pitch it is today, tomorrow, and max out every time. And if most of you guys are taking Chase's inbounds, you make them write this down. Hey, real quick, I'm going to give you some numbers, okay, before I let you go today. That's non-invasive. They're like, oh, my God, he's going to give me quotes. I could run away and leave, right? Go get a pen and a piece of paper. I'm going to hand you some quotes today. I want you to write this down and have them in front of you. The first option that the computer spits out, Joe and Mary, and this is important, right? It's not Pete. I'm just an order taker, okay? The computer spit out 3 options for you based on your budget, right? Option A is the Today plan. This is $8,000, whatever the case may be. Oh, and I'm sorry, I went out of order. If you're not doing it this way, please change up your presentation. Any point during the script, you should be asking them if they're benefit or budget centric somewhere. We do it in the very beginning. That's on our inbound script or outbound script. Hey, we talk to 50 seniors on a weekly basis, and they usually fall into one or two categories, either benefit centric or budget centric. Benefit centric says, hey, I don't really know how much this costs, but I need 20 grand to bury me. Budget centric might say, hey, I don't really know how much coverage I need, but I can't spend more than $150 a month. And we're projecting what we want to get out of that call. Make sense? I want 20,000 or I want 150 a month. So I'm telling them that. Whatever they pick, benefit or budget, is always option B. It's always the tomorrow plan. I don't care if they're 80 or 60 or 48 for final expense. B is B. Okay. So if they tell you, oh yeah, I want $20,000 for my burial, great. That's always my second option. So when I go through the 3 option close, Joe and Mary, we have the Today plan. Now, this is what the computer selects for you based on your benefit or budget election, okay? Now, this is $12,000 worth of coverage, which essentially would pay for the cost of a funeral today, all right? And this is $86.27 a month. Option 2, it's called the Tomorrow plan because it incorporates inflation into the base program of the policy. So the benefit amount is $20,000. That way, if you don't die in the next, or if you die in the next 24 hours or the next 24 years, it's still going to cover the cost of a funeral. This is a little bit more expensive. It's $165, but not bad. And then there's a third option for you guys, which is the max out policy. Now, this is the maximum amount of coverage that the insurance company will allow you to have based on your age and health. This is for $35,000. It will allow you to pay for a funeral later, plus leave a cash legacy behind, which is really cool. And this is $213 a month, okay? Now, as you're looking at that, Joe and Mary, what I want you to do is think about real quick, 1, which one is best for you? And 2, Do you guys plan on dying in the next, like, I don't know, 24 to 48 hours? They're going to be like, no. Okay, do me a favor and just cross out that today plan. I don't think that's for you. So between the tomorrow plan and the max out plan, which one's more beneficial for you and your family? You shut up and let them pick. 80% of the time on the closes, you're not going to close at 80%. Don't get it twisted. Even I sometimes, some weeks, don't close at 80%. Some weeks. You're not going to close at 80. But 80% of your closes will be option B. 10% of your closes will be the today plan because they cheap out. And 10% of your closes will be the max out. Okay? Because they want to upgrade. Because it's like shopping at Costco versus the corner store for your insurance. The more insurance that you buy, the cheaper it actually is. Make sense? So the today, tomorrow max out plan is way better, telling you this straight up, than silver, gold, bronze, than holy shit, amazing platinum, whatever these stupid names that some of these insurance companies come up with for their products, because it makes sense conceptually in their mind. Do they want to plan for today? Do they want to plan for tomorrow? Or fuck it, do they just want the most coverage that they can possibly get and lock that bitch in for the rest of their life so they don't have to pay any more later? Make sense? And our agents are taking inbounds too. Our average agent closes at 27.7%. With 80% of those closes being option B, our average deal size on final expense is $1,006 as of the last 6 months, okay, which is option B. 10% will cheap out and go A, and 10% will max out and go C. And that's a great payday for you guys. But make them write it down. Make sure you're asking about benefit or budget, and make sure it makes conceptual sense for them. Don't go making shit up. We had an agent one time accidentally be like, today, tomorrow, platinum. Like, the script is important and the presentation makes sense only if you do it in its entirety. Okay? So mortgage protection, low cost, low value, medium cost, medium value, high cost, high value, however you want to skin that cat. It's based on personal preference, and it's based on also your talent within the industry. Okay. If you're brand new, use term return of premium. It's a good starter product for yourself. If you're more advanced and you know what's going on, use an IUL with a term separated, or use a term firm combo with whole life and term if you're able to do so. Okay. If you're a neophyte, don't do that yet. And on final expense, just pitch that as such, because what will happen too is the same thing in final expense. Well, I don't like the idea of the today plan, Pete, because I can't, like, I don't want to pay for a funeral today. I'm not going anywhere, but I can't afford the tomorrow. All right, Joe and Mary, listen, the computer spits out the 3 options based on the benefit or budget amount that you give me. Let me see if I could do like a manual override. What's the maximum amount that you would want to set aside on a monthly basis? I know this $88 is too expensive and you don't see a lot of value in the 50, and that's okay. What's the maximum amount that you would want to contribute on a monthly basis that wouldn't hurt that much? Well, we could go up to 70. It's just 88 is almost 90, and that's kind of crazy. Okay, if I could manually override the computer and set you around like $69, would that make sense? Yes. All right, give me a few minutes. And I'm going to pull a Delta Airlines and just do this bullshit. Hey, you got another flight available? I don't know. Hold on, right? Who cares? It's all a game. It's fun. Talking about death all day is fun, right? Make it fun. So do that and say, oh my God, we have an in-between plan between the today and tomorrow. It's $69. That's great. And it gives you whatever, $9,650. Okay. Better than the today and not quite the tomorrow, but you can always upgrade and add more later. What's your social? Make sense? So treat that as such. And do it the same. It gets boring. I just had a training call right before this. Making money is boring. Wetmore will tell you that. Spending money is fun as fuck. Making money is boring, right? Because you're doing the same bullshit every day, all day, 8-9 hours a day. It's not fun. But what you get to do with that money after, hopefully, based on how much you make, is fun. So treat it as such. Okay, do the same script, the same presentation, the same bullshit on a daily basis. I promise you'll make a ton of money. All right, so that's the front end selling. On the back end, and I know Chase has the script, but I want to reiterate the importance because some of you are probably saying the words and have no idea why you're saying the words.
And before you go into it,
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you. We actually have, if anybody in the syndicate's read the script, you can see credited Pete Fournier beside this section. Okay. And we put that in there for a reason, because this is something that has actually impacted our program significantly. And we are in forever debt to you, because ultimately what this does is there's no way out other than to get in hold of you. And I'm just gonna let you go into it, but I just want to hype you up for a second, dude. This is a fucking game changer, guys. So get your notepads out and write this down if you're not a syndicate member. If you're a syndicate member, luckily enough, it's in your damn script, so just read your damn script. But Pete, take it away. Sorry.
No, don't worry. I appreciate it. Yes, and thank you for the credit, Chase. He didn't want to get sued. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't sue my brother. But this is copywritten material. You're free to use it because you paid in some way, shape, or form to be here, whether it's through leads or whatever. Okay, so back in the day, and what's our biggest concern, right? It's buyer's remorse, and it's getting fucking replaced. So when's the best way to overcome an objection? Before it happens. Yeah. So let's do that from a solidification perspective. Okay. We have right now as an IMO, final expense, now it incorporates IULs, which has like a 99% retention rate. But us as an IMO, as of last year, we're at 83.5% persistency. That's fucking sick. My personal book is over 97%. I don't lose cases ever. Mainly, one, because I'm good at solidifying, and two, because I follow up with clients, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But one of the most key components of that huge retention rate is this scripting. Okay? So I was sick of getting replaced. I was sick of getting beat on price. I was sick of people calling to cancel. You ever get a call from one of your final expense clients or you don't have a number saved and you're like, fuck this, I'm not answering that call? First of all, don't do that. Okay? Pick up. You need one more swing with the bat to save that deal. Okay? But we've all been there. I'm there. I was there back in the day. Be like, oh my God, Betty Sue Johnson's calling me. Fuck that. She's going to cancel. I'm just not going to hang up, or I'm not going to pick up. That's ridiculous. But at the end of the script, what I want you to do is, whether you're closing up your laptop, you're about to leave the house, you're about to hang up the call, you ask for your referrals, you got the beneficiaries, all that good stuff. I'm going to say, listen, Joe and Mary, would you agree that I made a lot of promises to you today? Okay. And what I mean by that is I promise that I'm going to be your agent for life. I promise you that we went with American Amicable because they've been around since 1926 and they have $1 bajillion in assets and they're guaranteed to pay claims and they're housed in Waco, Texas. I also promise that this is going to pay out tax-free to your daughters, Jessica, Mary, and Ruby. I promise that if you need anything, you can call me at any time between the hours of 9 and 6. Set boundaries, right? Don't call me anytime between the hours of 9 and 6. Make that list long. It comes with an accelerated death benefit. It comes with living benefits, whatever. Even if you're selling just traditional final expense, you can make that list long as fuck. 8, 9, 10 promises, right? And then you're going to say, listen, Joe and Mary, all I want you to do today is make me 2. Do you think you could do that for me? You're going to say, yeah. All right. I appreciate it. First promise. We all know that life happens, okay? So if any time 2, 5, hell, 10 years down the road, this becomes unaffordable, you feel like you can't pay the premium anymore, I want you to call me. The worst thing that you can do is up and cancel the policy because you're going to lose all of the equity that you built up into it. You wouldn't short sell your house if you didn't have to, right? So you don't want to do it with your insurance policy. There are things that we can do in the future to mitigate that. But we agree that it fits within your budget today, right? This 8872, it fits right within your budget? Yeah, okay. Not a big deal, right? Okay, great. So if it becomes a big deal 2, 5, 10 years down the road, you got to let me know. The second thing, Joe and Mary, you got to promise me is you are going to get called again. You're going to get solicited. You're going to get things in the mail. You're going to get someone talking smack about me. I'm all over social media. Someone's going to be like, that Pete Fournier don't know shit. Okay? If someone calls you and says, oh, your policy's crap, I could get you a better rate, I could get you more coverage, entertain them. It's okay. That's their job to solicit you. There's hundreds of thousands of agents across the country. It's their job. Now, if you get that rate and you get that benefit amount, I want you to call me immediately. All right. Now, if it's better, hell, Joe, I will tell you that it's better. I'll even do the paperwork to get you into that better product. But 99% of the time, it's not going to be better. Okay. I have pretty much every carrier under the sun. So if it's not better, I'll tell you why it's not better. And I'll also, if you have their contact info, three-way call that other agent in and tell them why it's not better with you on the phone. Would you do that for me? Yes, absolutely. Okay, great. Now, two things. Some of you I lost immediately, and they're like, that's scary as fuck. I'm never saying those words. In 13 and a half years, I have had to combat it twice. Both were shitty captive. I know Joe Campert's not on here. Shitty captive P&C agents trying to sling State Farm, okay, for some dog shit rate. So I beat the hell out of them. One was in the house and one was on the phone. They actually invited me over to the house while the other lady was in the house. That was really fun. Okay. So only 2 times out of the hundreds of thousands of clients that we have on the books did we ever have to actually do this. It just portrays a level of confidence in yourself and in the product that you bestowed upon them that they never have to worry about canceling. They never have to worry about buyer's remorse, and they don't have to worry about shopping around ever again. And the first thing that you want them to do, if they do get solicited, they do get buyer's remorse, they do get told that something is shit, they should call you immediately. You want them to do that. You don't want them to just go out and get replaced, right? Now let's think about why I said that. Obviously, the second one is easy. Your clients are going to get solicited. I don't give a shit what you do. You could put a fence around their house with machine guns. Someone's going to door knock them, right? They're going to get solicited again. So you need the second part. The first part, though, if you didn't catch it, I'll give it to you. I'm always future projecting onto the client 2, 5, 10 years down the road. Just like benefit or budget. Most people say $20,000 or $150 a month. 2, 5, 10 years down the road. On life insurance, when the fuck do we get paid? First 12 months. Maybe we get a renewal, maybe we don't. Honestly, if you're going to lose it in the 13th month, do you really care? Me and Wetmore don't care. It sucks a little, but we don't give a shit, right? So if 2, 5, 10 years down the road, this becomes unaffordable, I want you to call me. Shit, if they call me in 3 years and say, I need to cancel, listen, I understand, Joe and Mary. I get it. That's okay. You want me to try to find you something cheaper or like what's going on, right? No, I want to up and cancel. Okay, no problem. Call me if you need anything. Bye. But it doesn't matter at that point. You just want that policy to clear. Renewals are great, but that's what health insurance is for. You're not going to make a living as a personal producer on your life insurance renewals. I've been selling life insurance since 2010. My renewals finally on my personal pen are upwards of 150, 160,000. Now, if you have an agency like me and John do, that's a different story. But at the end of the day, a one-off for $35 a month, no one gives a shit. That falls off after 13 months. Make sense? So make sure you're doing that 2 promises solidification every single time. Come across with sincerity, empathy, and make sure you're solidifying that you are going to be their agent for life. Hey, if anyone comes out there with some crazy shit, because there's millions of insurance carriers and millions of agents out there, call me. You got the best one. He looks like Michael Phelps. He's a good looking guy, right? Call him up on the fucking phone and make sure you run it by him before you go and cancel. I started doing this. Well, I started doing it long before, but I did it like piecemeal. I developed the script. I did it for like a year on and off. You know, I had a guy call me one day and be like, hey, yeah, I just did that when I started soliciting annuities, like to my existing book of business. And he was like, well, shit, I didn't even know to like call you back. Like, I didn't know you did that or anything. Like, you want them to be in contact with you. We do 6 to 12 month policy reviews for our clients. We send thank you cards. We don't send holiday cards. You want a nice little secret on retention? Send a New Year's card. Send a Valentine's Day card. We just sent out almost 6,000 Valentine's Day cards. You know who's not getting Valentine's Day cards? Gladys, who's 79 goddamn years old. Okay?
Sorry.
Christmas cards. But she don't get no Valentine's Day card. She don't get a Happy New Year card. Right? Send a fucking President's Day card. Make some shit up. Whatever. but alleviate Q4 stationary because it goes right in the trash. All right, but that will help your retention more so. So 3 option close every time, low cost, low value, medium cost, medium value, high cost, high value. Today, tomorrow, max out, and make sure you're doing a 2 promises solidification at the end of every single presentation that you do. And I promise you, your retention rate will be absolutely insane if you just incorporate that without policy reviews or thank you cards or anything of that nature.
So
Okay.
I'd like to add to that just because I have literally stats that I want to just add to that. We added your 3 promise section to our script, and if you're a syndicate member, you know it's literally the retention procedure. Follow this. Do not veer away from this. When we added that, we've seen our clients' retention skyrocketed 10 to 30%. Some guys were 30%. The guys that were 10% were probably already really good with their retention. Because ultimately, it's not selling the policy. We all know that. Logical sales don't matter. It's selling you. And if you can make sure that every step of the way, they know that you are the broker for the rest of your life, that you are the person that they need to call when something happens, and that you are the trusted person when the policy they can't afford, that you're going to call and they can feel like they can trust that you're actually going to make a change that's going to better them, not for the insurance company, guaranteed retention there. And sorry to just like kind of steal your thunder here, but I'm just saying Pete's fucking 3 promises has been a game changer for not only our program, but I'm sure for all of his agents. And if you can take, one thing away to implement tomorrow, that. But first and foremost, you have to follow the basics, which John brought up earlier. Sorry. Go ahead, Pete. Sorry. Apologize.
No, you're good. Yeah, have to absolutely follow the basics. Nothing's going to matter. And I know because I was on a training call before, but I can imagine what John taught you. And you got to be doing fucking 20 to 30 presentations a week, absolute minimum, for any of this stuff to make sense. You can't write one policy and be like, oh, it fell off. Man, Pete lied. No, you lied to yourself. Yeah.
That's going to happen. That's going to happen.
The business in and of itself is law of large numbers. So if you're writing, or even if you suck and you're doing 30 presentations a week as a full-time agent, which John would argue that's not even close, but as a full-time agent, you're doing 30 presentations and you blow ass and you sell 6, you want to retain 5. If you lose 1 or 2 out of the 6, your paychecks are not going to feel so good. Yeah. So the more volume that you do, the more retention that you have. Also, from a solidification process, no one on this call should be selling less than $40 a month. We make it a rule. If you're quoting less than 40 in our office, and you'll see it very few and far between come across our Slack channel, 35, 37, I'll absolutely kill you if you go below 35. Why? Because out of the 17% of the policies that fall off, 69% of them are under $40 a month.
That is exactly what Pete just, or what John was bringing up earlier, is like, is your Netflix, you're paying $8 a month for Netflix, you're putting insurance at the bottom if you're selling $40 a month policies. And that is always going to fall off. Anyways, sorry, Pete, get your drink of water.
Yep. Thanks. Don't be a bitch. Don't sell like you buy. John's been broke before. I've been broke before. I never wore Louis Vuitton shoes in 2012. Okay. $600 shoes. I couldn't even imagine it. But I never sold like I could buy. I never got into a situation where I was like scared to say, yeah, it's $550 a month, because that's what you need. You can't afford that. What can you afford? $300. Oh, okay. Well, then it's $299, right? Same thing for final expense. I don't know if you guys have had a loss, and I feel like, and Wetmore can correct me if I'm wrong or if he doesn't feel this way. I feel like you get less empathetic as you become more and more successful in this business. Like, as you're an agent, you should be the most empathetic fucking wuss ever. And wuss in terms of like, I understand, here's how you feel. But like when I went to the funeral home with my mom and my aunt, when my grandma died in 2016, now granted I grew up in New Jersey, so things are a little bit more expensive. Her funeral for basic ass shit was $16,500. When my grandpa died at the end of 2019, his was $19,000. That's $35,000 combined. for the two of them. And we're running around selling $5,000 death benefits. What the fuck are we doing? It's not going to do anything for anybody. I had a lady call me, I knock on wood, because I don't sell a ton of final expense on my personal pen. I probably had like 13 or 14 death claims, so almost one a year. And I had one the other day, and I found out that back in 2012, I was doing God's work. Really, I was just doing work for myself because I was on like a 55% contract. So I was trying to gouge people's eyes out on their premium. But I made this couple. The dude just died. I issued his policy in August of 2011. Okay. I pumped through, back in the day, we didn't have Eagle with Americo. It was Ultra Protector. And I forced these people to buy $40,000 worth of death benefit because it was the max out. And he was paying like $179 and she was paying like $116. You know, this fucking lady called me at 76 years old on Monday of last week, crying, say, I wish we paid more. Because I told her the death benefit was $40,000 and she was like, oh man, that's it. And at the time, I was like, holy fucking fuck shit. They bought $40,000 worth of death benefit? Oh my God, I'm crushing lives. I should have stacked policies. I should have went for more, because the day when the check arrives, it's never enough, ever. And at the end of the day, she probably would have paid double or triple, obviously one, to have her husband back, but two, to get more money. So think about that when you're doing these sits. It's the same thing as mortgage protection. Why the fuck are you filling out a lead for $550,000? Then I'm going to show you like $150,000 death benefit, simplified issue with Forrester Strong Foundation. The hell's that going to do? If you can't afford it now, how are you going to afford it when something happens? Make sense? So like, do God's work. Do your own work too, because your pocketbooks will thank you for it. Don't be selling no bullshit policies for $35, $40 a month. Very unnecessary. Tell them there's a minimum. I do that with my IULs all the time. I will not sell an IUL under $250 a month. No fucking way. And it makes sense, one, for my pocketbook, and two, because the cost of insurance is too high, and they're not getting full-blown cash accumulation if they're under that, right? Even for a fetus, I'm not selling under $200 a month, right? So make sure that you're doing right by the client, but also right by yourself. They don't just need to be covered. They need to be covered the right way. Because when you get that call, you don't want to be like, oh, I'm sorry, Mary. Remember when I was a giant puss and I only sold you a $125,000 death benefit and now you can't pay off your house or pay for childcare or anything? Yeah. Anyway, checks in the mail because I'm a bitch. Make sense? All right. What questions do you have?
Hey, Pete.
Let John go.
Dude, a lot of people just learn that their in-home and their presentation is, as you would say, dog shit.
Dog
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
That's okay. That's why you're on these calls, right? The only importance of training, because Wetmore's trained thousands upon thousands of agents, and so have I. And the thing that pisses us off the most, Wetmore may have something else, but is no implementation of whatever the fuck we're telling you.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like, it's almost perfect because John is giving
you know what I hate worse?
You have to do the basics, and then Pete's giving you like, here's what you do once you do that. Sorry, John, go ahead.
Bro, I hate when they don't implement it, but I hate even worse when they don't implement it and then they call again bitching. And I'm like, are you calling me for a different answer than I gave you the last time you called?
Always.
Always. That was killer, dude. I love seeing your shit. I've heard this a lot.
I appreciate it, bro.
And every time I watch it, I'm like, fuck, he's good.
What do you guys need? What questions do you have? What are you going to fix
raise the
tomorrow?
hands.
Yeah, raise your hands. I promise I'm not scary on a one-on-one question.
So, Peter, I just typed it in, but I was once told, like, if you're going for like that budget-friendly sweet spot to be like $80 a month, do you agree with this as like a good, either A, a good starting point, or B, like a norm for people who they say, well, I'm within a budget, but I don't really know, kind of thing?
Are you asking benefit or budget in every single presentation?
Yes. Actually, it's one of the first questions I ask before
Okay.
I even do the benefit or the presentation.
Yep.
So that when I'm doing the presentation, I have something to present to them either way.
Sure. So the most important part of benefit or budget, or really anything that I told you today, is there's no leading questions. I'm projecting what I want. I almost wanted to scare them. So for final expense, it's just in my bones to say benefit people would be 20,000, maybe 25. I don't really know how much that costs. Or budget centric might say, hey, I know I need burial or cremation insurance and I can't spend more than, I don't know, $150 a month. So where do you fall, Jody? Are you more benefit centric for that amount or budget centric?
Okay.
Well, no, role play with me.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I'm new at this game with you guys. I am more budget centric.
Awesome. And what would that budget be?
Oh, after mortgage, college tuition, getting ready for second college tuition, car payments. I don't know, maybe anywhere between 75 and 110 a month.
Hey, great.
75
So,
being on the low end, 110 being on the high end to see what I can get.
would 110 be scary for you?
It could possibly be
I don't want 110 then, Jody. What's your max that's not scary?
100.
Okay, great. So if I could find you a plan today that fits your budget within $70 to $100 a month, that would make sense to you?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. And that's option B.
Okay.
If they give you a range, which if that happened to you, Jody, that's wild because we don't get that ever. But if they do give you a range, ask them if the top line is going to be scary.
Okay.
Always. Well, yeah, actually, yeah, I could spend 105. Okay, the difference between 105 and 110 is scary. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? But now you have commitment saying I could go up to 105. It don't matter.
Right.
Yep.
Now, what would you do if somebody says to you, I don't know what my budget is, and I don't know how much I can get for my budget. So I can't say I'm comfortable spending this because I don't know what I can get for this. How would you rebut that?
Sure.
I had that today.
Jody, let me ask you, do you want to be buried or cremated?
I'm going to be buried.
Buried. Okay. And do you have anything like preset, like plots, headstones, mausoleum, whatever?
No.
Okay. All right. So the average funeral cost today is between 12 and 15,000. We obviously don't want to plan for today necessarily, but that might come up tomorrow. Like factoring inflation, probably between 20 and 25,000. So, to my understanding, you want to cover something that would guarantee to pay for your funeral, your plot, your headstone, all that good stuff. Probably from 15 to 20 years from now, at least, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. And that's all I want. I want commitment of that. Now that's going to be option B, 20 to 25,000. Now, what you're going to do, the only rebuttal that you can get in the benefit or budget script is this one. They take you down the benefit-centric path. You do a 3-option close. Today, tomorrow, max out. You show them 80, 140, 315. And they say, holy fucking shit, Pete. There's no way I can afford any of those. No problem, Jody. Hey, remember in the beginning of the presentation when I asked you if you were more benefit-centric or budget-centric, and you mentioned benefit because you want to be cremated or you want to be buried, and you didn't have anything prepaid for or preset? It sounds to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you're more budget-centric than benefit. So in that case, what would be your maximum budget that's not so scary on a monthly basis? And I'll rework these numbers.
Max would be $100.
Okay, and 100's not scary at all for you.
No.
Okay, so let me rework this, and I'll see what the computer spits out. And oh, look, today is 80, tomorrow is 99, and max out is still 315 because that will never change. So it sounds to me you want to go for the tomorrow plan.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Does that make sense to everybody on the call? All you're doing is utilizing the presentation. You're using the test to take the test, right? When you all took your insurance test, there were probably like 58 questions that fucking were coinciding to each other, right? And if you got one right, you got the next 16 right, or whatever the case may be. Same thing with the presentation. Use their words against them. You caused them to do this, right? Who wants to do a quick game with me? It'll take about 60 seconds. Raise your hand. Who is that? Edsel? All right.
Edsel, volunteer.
Edsel, unmute yourself.
I'm on my cell phone and on the computer. I have shit internet too, so I'm going to be speaking through my cell phone here.
You're good, dude. Okay. So you got a deck of cards, right? You ever play cards before?
No.
You never play cards?
I'm familiar though. I'm familiar though.
Okay. All right. So in a deck of cards, you got two colors, right? You got black cards and you got red cards. Pick one.
Red.
Red. Awesome. Now, in red cards, you got two types of suits. Okay. You got diamonds and you got hearts. Pick one.
Hearts.
Hearts. Awesome. Now, in hearts, you have small cards. You have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then you have big cards 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace. Pick one.
King.
Well, pick a set. Pick a set. Either low cards or high cards.
I'll pick the high cards.
High cards. Awesome. Awesome. So in the high cards, you got 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace. Okay. Do you like the 10 and the Jack better, or do you like the Queen, King, and the Ace better? Pick one.
King, Queen, and the Ace.
King, Queen, and the Ace. So you have, we'll negate the Ace. I don't even want to talk about the Ace right now. So between, you got the Queen of Hearts left and you got the King of Hearts left. Pick one.
King of Hearts.
Okay, what's left over?
The Queen of Hearts.
Can everybody see that? I wrote that down before the exercise started. So depending on what you're asking somebody and the way you ask them, you can get them to whatever answer you want. It's just determinant on how you ask the questions and what you leave remaining. So the benefit or budget presentation, the today, tomorrow, the maxed out presentation does exactly that. I could make him pick the 3 of clubs. I don't give a fuck. Doesn't matter to me. Okay? But it's wherever you want to lead them to go to get to the answer that you want at the end of the day. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Now that I'm here, I actually had a question. When you were talking about going in, I'm assuming you were going into the close when you asked for the social. Do you ask for the social transitioning the way you do because it's easier than, because it's harder than asking for the banking information, because that's a harder.
I use "What's Your Social" as a joke. I tried to trademark it, but the trademark office denied me because it's too common of a phrase. But so I joke when I'm hard closing, like for show on a call or somebody, like I'm cold dialing or whatever, I'll ask for that. But usually I want like 3 to 4 pieces of demographic information before I get to the social. Because again, you're commanding what you want them to do. So I got your first name as John. I got your last name as Wetmore. I got your address as, you said 123 Main Street, and that's in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. Okay, awesome. And zip code, confirm that for me. Okay, cool. And this is being left to your beneficiary XYZ. It's 100%. And they're going to verify your identity by the use of your social to give the money to XYZ person. So what's your social?
Okay.
They're just in a rhythm. Right? I'm giving you the info. I'm giving you the info. I'm giving you the info.
Okay.
Yep. Other questions?
I got a question for you, Pete.
Yes.
So if I heard exactly what you just said, right, you basically just reframed their possible rebuttals into guiding them into the conversation as into guiding them as to what they want to cover, which you already have an idea of what that's going to possibly cost, depending upon what you got them qualified for their age and their medical status.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct. Scott, I'm just reading through the chat real quick, and if you guys want to raise your hands to ask more, you totally can. But Scott, is it worth sending them funeral inflation chart? I don't send them shit. If they're on the phone, I don't even have, I mean, Wetmore will probably tell you this because we've been in the field long enough to say that. Like, I didn't even have business cards for like 5 years. I'd be like, call if you need me. All right, bye. Like, there's no leave behinds. There's no, here's the chart. If an agent in our hierarchy asks for marketing materials, I know they're not going to make it.
Dude, I love this.
Yeah,
Dude, never brochure, never nothing. I'm like,
never
someone asked
fucking,
about
dude.
that in a chat the other day.
90% of my clients might have heard Foresters one time, and you could call them today and be like, "Who do I have?" And they'd be like, "I don't know."
Pete.
You know, what's funny is we have a bunch of symmetry guys that just love that stuff. And it's crazy what for me, because my knowledge comes solely from just being able to peek my head in all the different agencies. FFL, from John, Pete, and ATIG, Symmetry. And they all have their own carriers that they just push. And you can tell that most of them are getting more comp from them. And I've never seen a lot of the same thing with Force. Forces is Canadian. But I feel like Symmetry guys just love Forcers, and I don't know why. I don't know
They're
why.
1099 right here. Yeah.
Are you an SS Symmetry guy?
Am I? Don't offend me like that, Jody. No.
Whoa!
No,
Don't offend Jody.
That was low.
Wait.
No offense,
Jody,
Nate Alford.
Jody
It's totally
is
okay.
a gem, okay?
No.
And she might be Symmetry. I don't know where she's at. She might be.
I'm universally ambiguous. Just imagine me as like a specter floating through the insurance industry.
I feel the same.
Yeah. But no brochures, none of that. I'm trying to pull up the chat as this comes through.
And thank you for whoever called me a gem. I don't know if it was Chase or Wes, but thank you.
It was Chase. It was Chase.
Oh, what?
Don't give us credit here. It was Chase.
Well, Chase, you did it because you just liked my post.
I got what does Jersey guy know about Minnesota? You want to know a fun fact? I've been to every state one time. That's my never have I ever, or my 2 truths and a lie. Been to every state one time, and I think I've sold in like 42 or 43 states.
Fun fact: I've been to more United States cities than I have been to Canadian cities.
Well, there's only like 3, so.
Wow! Don't be rude, Pete. Okay, it's definitely more than 3. There's really only 3.
I do love me some Montreal, that's for sure.
Yeah. Guys, so it's 8:00, and I appreciate it. There's been so many people. We've actually increased as the hours go by. I thought we were going to have maybe a steady decrease doing a 2-hour seminar, which makes me realize that we need to do these 2-hour intensives way more often. I appreciate both of these guys. Both of these guys are the pillar of the agents, the industry, truthfully. And luckily, I have the ability to go and see a lot of different IMOs, a lot of different leaders in the industry, and kind of have access to them to the sense of as a human, right? And I think a lot of people, and only a piece of advice I can give you with having Pete, Ed, and John here is the only reason that I know Pete, the only reason that I know John, is because I just ask them questions. And I feel like a lot of agents, well, he's out of reach. He's out of reach. Why not just shoot a text? Why not just ask? Don't be so like, oh, my upline knows best. Well, you know what? That's why we created the Syndicate. The Syndicate has multiple people from multiple different IMOs, from multiple different backgrounds, and we're all teaching each other something all the time. And not trying to push a product, push a way of life down your throat. We're just, here's what's worked for me. And I think that's a huge game changer when you think about like what everybody has access to in their leadership in maybe their IMO or et cetera. That's what the Syndicate tries to push. Our Xfer Syndicate tries to push is making sure that we have access to all these individuals, because Pete's a real dude. Don't message him 100 times because he's a busy guy, but he's the same dude that he was 10 years ago that he is today. And John is the same dude, regardless of 209 on the books. He's the same dude. You can have dinner with him. He's the same dude. And that's an intangible. And I want you guys to know that they're the same dudes that you guys are. Ladies and dudettes, dudes and dudettes that you guys were or were. And it's so attainable. The key things that we could take away from it is get the reps in, because the reps you'll never figure out what Pete's figured out without the reps that John and Pete have put in. Right? The reps are what's going to come first. Activity is going to come first. those things are going to develop. The nice part, if you're in the syndicate, or whether if you're on social media and you're grabbing those things, you can add and take from what these guys have done and the mistakes that they've had and the solutions that they provided themselves for those mistakes. So for that 3 promises, I posted it in the chat. That's a game changer. Pete's probably like, why did you post in the chat? I'm just like, sorry, dude. I'm just putting value out. You said it. They're going to get the recording. I'm going to give you the text format just so you guys can take that because it's going to add value in life. You know, John giving you guys access to his tracker, his newsletter. He's not. None of these guys are here to sell you shit. They are only here to give you guys just value out of the kindness of their heart because they know that that's ultimately what they have to live in this life. It's not the money. It's not the policies that they write. It's not the vanity metrics of how many followers or how many people are engaged with them. It's how much value that you can provide. And that's why I love these two. Because they'll just give you everything that they know for fucking free. And if somebody can give you everything that they know for free, you know that their paid shit is going to be 10 times better. And this is not a plug. But both of them have nothing to sell you. They have just value to give to you. So I'm glad that you guys have sat here and listened and take notes all day long. And this is truly amazing. It makes us realize, shit, we need to do this a lot more often. And I appreciate both of you guys coming on. You know, the kind words you said about our programs, the kind words that you said about each other just makes us synergize so much more. And I'm sure everybody that's watching and listening right now will truly appreciate this call. I'm going to open it up for questions because Pete just gave a lot of fucking shit and a lot of notes that you probably take. So I'm going to open up for questions and then we're going to call it a night because it's 8 o'clock at night. We all have lives. We all have leads to call in the morning. So raise your hands.
I got 24 minutes because I just got off a 3-day water fast, so I'm having a beer. So whatever questions you want. Yeah.
Hey, I went straight vodka, Pete.
Fuck yeah. I wish I had that in the office. I need
You
to
just
get
brought
that.
some. You just brought some Appleton. We ran out of beer.
Hey, Pete.
So I feel like I'm just going to
Remember
a
this
different
sucker?
level right now.
Oh, mama, look at that bad boy. Yeah, so get on John Wetmore's level where we go to dinner and he's like, what kind of watch is that? I said, it's a Hublot Big Bang. He said, can I have it? I said, it's XYZ amount of money. He was like, no, I realize that, but I want that one. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I wear Pete's watch.
Dude took it off my wrist.
Fun fact, seen that at dinner and I was like, ah, that's a great watch. Great
Yeah, I bought it from
watch.
Pete.
And
I literally bought it off his
wear my
fucking wrist.
Because my mentality, and anybody that's listening right now, when you go and meet somebody that on paper, 209 million, you don't wear any fancy watch you have. You wear a t-shirt and jeans and you just come politely, okay? Because he's going to show you up no matter what you have, right? And then I get there and he has this beautiful watch. I'm like, shit, I should have worn my watch. You know, like, but gorgeous watch. It's crazy how life interconnects, and I think the value you guys have taken today, please write it down. Anyways, questions. We got people hands up. Michael Jacobs, you got your hand first. We'll let you go. I know Maddie's waiting for you to call her back, so I'll let you go first, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yep, sir.
Man, I got a lot out of this today. Benefit, budget, today, tomorrow, max out plan. I got a lot, man. Let me see if I can, see what I can do to override the system if we can get this done today. I got a lot of things that I think is going to be very helpful for me. The whole fact that when he went back and said, hey, can I rework those numbers if I had to? Where can we be at? So that was some really good energy and things of that nature.
I appreciate it.
Hello.
Oh, I'm muted. Michael, thanks, Shay. Michael, please give Maddie a call back. She's waiting for your call. Duke, I'll let you go next.
All right. Yeah. So I'm new here. Been part of the Unreal for like a week, and this is just crazy content, and very thankful. I'm at the gym, But the question is, Pete, I heard on the training I saw that benefit and all right, the benefit and budget thing. I've used it and I've already closed 2. This is my first week, so using that. So thank you.
Nice, man.
So I wanted to ask, this is retention, because that's a very big thing. You're like 97% retention, which is ridiculous. What do you do to follow up and make sure that they're happy for that first year, especially? Like, I know you said you send them Valentine's. Like, how do you do it? Do you call them? Do you have a drip system? What is it that you do to do that?
Yeah. So don't take after me from, I didn't have a CRM for the first 6.5 years of being in business, which was a mistake and a half. But I will schedule a 6-month policy review at the end of my sale.
Okay.
So I'll say, hey, I'm going to be your agent for life after the solidification. I want to make sure you guys are up and coming on what you have on an annual basis. And the only way that I can do that is to reinform you every 6 months. So are you guys free? Today is February 8th. Are you available August 10th around I have a 10:30 or I have a 2:30? And they're like, what the fuck? But they said it, and all you got to do on the phone, Zoom, in person, whatever, if you're in the field, just show up and reaffirm what they buy. And I try to do that every 6 months. And now running the organization, I'm sure Wetmore is not chasing down every $50 a month final expense policy he's ever had either. You start catering to the bigger clients and doing it every 6 months. But the whole goal of that is to get them basically doing busy work until your advance clears.
Okay.
That's all it is.
Okay.
That's all it is.
So you kind of do that just to make sure that it clears, and then once the 13th month is there, then you try to cross sell, you mentioned Medicare in one of the trainings, or Annuity. That's when you start doing that. I was just trying to get the transition.
Yep, I'm a big proponent of, and there are different opinions out there, but that's why they're like assholes. Everybody has one. I'm a big proponent of not overselling in the first meeting. And I don't mean based on premium, because my average premium is about $262 a month. But I mean on product. If you think they qualify for an IUL, a term, a cancer, a critical illness, and Medicare, whatever, I'm going to go back and try to upsell them after they're a client. It's going to give them much more confidence in me not going after everything. I'm not trying to get, I want to think about it on that first sit, because you will get that if you try to inform them of 58 products. So that's what that 6 to 12 month policy review is for, is keep going back, keep reselling. And for those of you that don't sell health, just as a shameless plug to continue to not sell health, which is weird for me, you guys have built-in renewals. If you sell a fuck ton of term, you guys should have clients for 10, 15, 20 years that you still get paid off of. I have an age lead, the Scops in South Jersey, wonderful people. They bought from me in 2012, 2014, term converted them in 2017, term converted them again in 2020, sold their kid a policy because she got married, sold their grandkid a policy because they finally had a baby in 2023. Even if you're not on the Medicare ACA group benefits train, ancillary train, and you're a neophyte and you're still just selling life, you can easily tee up consistent business for yourself doing those 6 to 12 month policy reviews every single year. And no one's that busy unless you're me or John.
Travis, your question's next, my man.
Yeah, I just had a question for you, Pete. Say if you're in a certain kind of scenario where a client would get declined for let's say simplified issue. And then next thing you know is this final expense, but then you know that because they got declined, you see that, okay, now you got to go guarantee issue. In that kind of instance, how would you present that to the client to make it look like to them that this isn't a bad idea, this is actually still a good idea, but it's still going to be guaranteed issue?
Yep. So let's break it down step by step for a second. So they went simplified, let's say Foresters, Americo, AmAm, whatever. You try to get them a term. Okay. And then they're going to final expense. In the transition of final expense, what I would say is, listen, Joe and Mary, something came up in your MIB. I know we discussed medications, medical records, etc. There's something that the insurance company doesn't like. Now, with that being said, let me ask you a question. If something happened to one of you, would you stay in this big old house, or would you probably, like, one of you downsize, move in with your kids, maybe sell it, get something different? You'd probably transition, right? Number one rule of sales, people will always do the latter option of what you suggest. You want Mexican tonight, or do you want Chinese? Chinese sounds instantly better, right? So are you going to stay in this big ass house, Jill and Mary? Or are you going to probably downsize, move in with the kids, well, reestablish somewhere else? Oh, yeah, we are. Okay, listen, based on your health and your medical records, and again, we'll try to apply again in 12 to 13 months, but what I want to set you up with is at least, because we all know houses don't sell like that, I want to get you at least 12 to 24 months worth of mortgage protection, because I think I did a bad job of even fact finding prior to this. I don't think you need the whole kit and caboodle. You might only need like 12 to 18 months worth of payments. So let's do that to start. If you want to reapply for the Holy Cow package next year, we can certainly do that. But let's get this locked in, because it sounds to me like you're going to downsize anyway. Am I correct? Be like, holy shit. And you can go, and I've done it before, and so have my agents, of like, oh, I pitched them $140 a month for $300,000. Now for the same 140, they're getting 50,000 of simplified issue whole life for final expense, but that's okay because they're buying the concept. Make sense? Now, is that going to happen every time? Absolutely not. But that's going to be the pivot point if they do get a decline. The other important thing is to set the precedent early. Don't clean sheet. Don't wishy-wash medications. Over-embellish some shit. I know John's told me some crazy stories, and I've shared ones with him too, of being like, well, I am on a statin. Oh my God, statin? Shit. How many milligrams is the statin? I know they hand them out like M&M's. So how many milligrams? 20? 20? Are you on like Lipitor or a generic? Like, what's going on with the stat, right? Like, I don't be like, oh man, you're on insulin, no big deal. Blah. And then you go through and then you're like, oh fuck, decline. Makes sense? Over embellish some of that shit. You're on a statin and you're on lisinopril. I don't know why they did that to you. That's fucked. That's crazy. Makes sense? But try that as the pivot point. Now, if you do want to go back, the other alternative is them going full paramed. They can go table rated, table 6, 10. I don't know what's wrong with this particular client, but you could go full paramed EKG, be in underwriting for 45 to 90 days and get them through that way. It all depends. Yeah.
Got you. Oh, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Good question. Good question. Other stuff.
Hey, it's me again. Pete, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Shay. I just work here.
What's up, Shay?
Hey, man.
Hold on, Shay. Just because I'm going to put Jacob Purdue on.
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to be a dick, but Shay.
Now, real quick, I got a question. So, John, I know you'd said earlier, like, as agents, typically we can overcomplicate shit. And I think that's true. A lot of my, that's very true. But correct me if I heard you wrong, but did you say you went like 6 years without having a CRM, Pete?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. About 6.5. Yeah.
I went like
I never
4.
used one.
Okay, cool. So this question's for both of you. Wait, do you still not use one, John?
I mean, we have it for recruiting, but
Yeah, John don't need no goddamn CRM.
I haven't sold a policy in 7 years, so.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. Here's the thing. So I was taught, I'm not going to throw names under the bus, submit, forget, terrible, terrible way to approach it. But now I'm realizing, obviously, there's so much money left in your book because I got a decent book. How would you go about reaching out to some of these people that you haven't talked to since like 2019, 2020? You know what I mean? Like, hey, of course, the first time I don't think you're going to be like, hey, I got Medicare. Do you need an annuity? How about another policy? What's been going on? So like, how do you like, nice, like, What would you do?
I wish you were on our call, Jacob, like 6-7 weeks ago. So I actually called my America book. Don't tell Andrew Costas, John. But I called my America book from like 2011 and 2012 just to prove a point. And was like, hey, Betty, holy shit. I know it's been like a year. It's literally been over a decade. It's been a year. Remember last year when I said I was going to continue to shop for you and I couldn't help you at all? Listen, this year, finally, I got appointed with the XYZ carrier. Now, I don't know if you qualify. I got to make sure that you qualify health-wise and budget-wise and stuff like that. But in any case, based on looking at your file, I think I can save you 10 to 15% on your existing premiums. Sorry, I couldn't do it for you last year. How are the kids, by the way? Good. Your husband's still around? You still got that dog? Whatever notes you have on these people, you know what I mean? But I'm going to hook them. I'm going to build rapport after, and then I'm going to transition to whatever the cross-sell is.
Okay. So just give them a call, check in on them, and form it.
We sold like 8 out of 22 in one day.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. All right, fair enough. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of check, try and see how you go back and rekindle the embers, if you will.
God, you could fake a 6-month policy review. I don't remember what the fuck I had for lunch yesterday. You know what I mean? Let alone a 6-month policy review.
Hey, I think he knew he was overcomplicating it just based on the question, like the setup of the question, you know what I mean? Which is good.
Yeah.
You know,
true.
It's like everything works a little bit and nothing works every time.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you go at that every time, you do it that way, dude, it's going to work some, you know? So
trademark that. On that shit. Everything works a little, works every time like that.
You need a copy of that Wetmore. Put that on a fucking shirt.
Let's go. Chase probably just fucking did it.
I know.
Yeah, you know, no, they're on it. They're on it down there. They're little minions.
He's all Delta Airlines right now.
Fun fact, came back from the States last week, had such bad turbulence, got whiplash on my way home.
That'd be
no big deal.
Suing.
Anyways, you guys, this is absolutely phenomenal. This has been a great training. I think anybody that's been here has taken a lot of value from this. You mentioned Pete, and Matt is currently bathing his daughter right now. He's listening, but he didn't ask the question, so I'm going to ask it.
Yeah.
Once you make a sale and you uncover an annuity opportunity, what's your follow-up strategy, and how soon do you run them next appointments to get the conversation moving?
Awesome. So depending on the age of the annuity client or prospect, and in my mind, they're a prospect whether they know it or not, right? But usually we want to target 50 plus is my age limit. You can sell them younger, but you usually don't want to. But after the presentation, I'm going to ask them, and this is sale or non-sale. Hey, by the way, Joe and Mary, do you have anything by any chance that acts like life insurance? And what I mean by that is, like, obviously you have life insurance because we just sold it to you, LOL. Or obviously you have life insurance because we couldn't beat what you had, LOL. But anything that you would pass down to a beneficiary, like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, 401ks, cash under the mattress, or like my Uncle Louis used to bury it in his backyard. You guys have anything like that? You do? Okay, cool. Listen, things are changing all the time, but if I could show you an account on a fixed rate basis with no ebb and flow with the market, could guarantee you between 7 and 8.5% returns year over year, would it make sense to have a discussion based around that? They're immediately going to say yes. I haven't really had anyone say no. And maybe they say no in the presentation, but if you're selling a income-based annuity right now, interest rates fixed are between 7 and 8.5. I don't know where the fuck you're going to get that at 50, 60, 70 years old. Okay. And that's how I ask it. Do you have anything that acts like life insurance? And what I mean by that, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, cash on the mattress, or like my Uncle Louis used to bury it in his backyard, LOL. You guys have anything like that you would pass down to a beneficiary? Yes, no, maybe so. All the time it's yes. Okay, what do you got? I got a 401k. Okay, cool. Hey, you qualify at least to talk. If I could show you an account that would guarantee you 7 to 8.5% interest fixed with no ebb and flow with the market, would that make sense to have a conversation about that? You're gonna say yes, and then you're right into an annuity presentation. I'm always teeing it up for a future date. I'm not going to go into it right then and there. But I rolled 3.7 million on my own pen, not knowing shit about fuck last year, just with that question. So if you roll 3.7 million, okay, depending on what comp level you're on, but let's say street, that's about 180 grand in commissions. So just ask, and then find somebody. Find a me in your agency. Find a Wetmore in your agency. Find a peer that you're buddies with in the syndicate that knows how to do annuities and do joint work. Like I did do an LTC-based annuity, not the other day, but about 6-7 months ago. I didn't know shit about fuck. So I called my buddy Roy Snar and was like, how do I do this? And he was like, you want me to do it? I was like, dude, I'll split the case with you. You do it. We both made $15,000. That's better than me attempting to make 30K off of a big fat zero because I wasn't going to be able to close it. Make sense? So bring someone into the fold. Keep asking the question, but bring someone in that's an expert and let them do it for you for the first 1 or 2. It's okay.
I love it. I love it. It's 8:25. We could keep going, I bet, but I think it's probably safe to say we end it here. We all have lives. We all have leads to call in the morning. And
Who's
if
calling?
anything else,
Isn't everybody on inbounds? What are we doing?
yeah.
If you're not on inbounds, get the fuck on inbounds.
We do inbound and outbound. But there are some very, 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 protected.
It's the cheap ones, bro. That's what he wants to say. The cheap ones
The
still
cheap
aren't good.
ones. That's what I'm getting. Wetmore and I are on the same goddamn wavelength all the time. The cheap ones are.
That's all it is.
Guys, I super appreciate you. And to talk about that, because yes, 2.5 hours, if you're still here, yes, I'm going to plug myself because I gave you the opportunity to have access to these guys. So give me a second here. We do offer unlimited inbound and unlimited outbound calls. One's 650, one's 1500. The only difference between the two is, are you ROI focused or are you time focused? Because regardless, both of what you've heard today from both of those guys will apply to what you can take from these programs. And if you're ROI focused, maybe the outbound program is for you because you'll make a way better ROI doing the work yourself, right? But are you time focused? Do you have an agency? Do you have a team? Look at the inbounds to relieve yourself from that time that you having to worry about your Facebook ad spend going up and down. Your cost per conversation, your cost per acquisition fluctuating all the time. Both of our programs are a flat fee, all you can eat. So there's a link. Go up there, book a time. It's not a sales call. We'll just show you what we do. And if you feel like it's a good fit for you, we might have a slot for you. We keep it limited. So we cap our slots just to make sure that we can provide a result to each and everybody with our support staff and our team. So it is limited. I think we have a couple slots available for both programs. If you want, jump on and have a call. But if you got value from either of these guys, you want to see more of this, either join the syndicate, reach out to them all on Facebook, because if you haven't heard of either of them, you probably live under a rock, so you know how to reach out. And if you need help, all I can say is just ask. The worst you're going to get is, no, I don't have time right now. But I'm sure that both of these guys would make time for anybody that actually needs help, because I think the three of us share that core value is we are here to help people, not to make money. The dollars have happened. The impact has happened in that regard. Now it's just about making an impact that we can, when we all three of us, inevitably our insurance policies get paid out. We want to make sure that we made a bigger impact than just the death premium that we had. So, and I think all of us and Pete and John share that value, and I think that's why they come in here all the time to do quick training for everybody. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you, Pete and John, for coming in and doing this training tonight. If there's one piece of advice, give me fucking 2 one-liners, not a whole fucking spiel, you two. I want one-liner, one piece of advice that you can give to the guys that are listening right now that spent 2.5 hours listening to what you have to say. One piece of advice you can leave them with today.
I'll go first. I would say just listen to everything Pete said, and certainly I try to be this way too. Think about the intention, the intentionality of it. You know what I mean? It's like how intentional all of his questions are in the setup. You know? So I think if you're out there and you're making a pile of dog shit out of your week, like look at the intentionality of the responses you're getting that are negative or because of your lack of intentionality in your questions. You know, and that goes to recruiting, it's all communication, it's all sales. It's just the intentionality level. That card thing was just intentionality in his questions. Most people in here were like, what the fuck did he just do? It wasn't that deep at all. It was really fucking elementary what he did. But it was super intentional. You know?
Since John and I are on the same wavelength 24/7, my shit's gonna marry what he probably taught you before. Whatever situation that you're in right now, activity will get you at it. I was over $95,000 in debt in 2012. That's $45,000 of roll up plus student loans plus a mortgage I couldn't afford, whatever. Any situation that you're in right now is a blip on the radar in your career here. That was 18 months, 20 months to get out of that. Out of 13 and a half years, it doesn't feel that bad. So wherever you're at, if you put forth the activity and push and do the same boring shit every single day, I promise it will feel like a blip on the radar to you too, regardless of where you're at right now.
Now. Because my piece of advice is going to be way more fucking important than the two of those guys giving you right now. There's one fucking piece of advice that I can fucking give you right fucking now, and I'm going to swear a whole lot.
Buy one of these.
Call your fucking leads, okay?
Buy both, Pete.
Call your
Buy both.
goddamn leads, all right? Doesn't matter what they said. It doesn't matter. None of the shit you listen for 2.5 hours makes sense unless you call your fucking leads. So please, do me a goddamn favor and just call your leads back. That's it. Go home to your family. Tonight's here's done. Okay, call your leads. John, Pete, I appreciate you guys. Absolute pleasure having you guys part of the syndicate. Absolute pleasure having the ability to have you guys in a room together. And I hope everybody that joined tonight got a lot of value. Recordings will be posted in our Facebook group. So if you aren't a syndicate member, you can go to the Facebook group. I posted the link. You can check the playback there. If you're a syndicate member, it'll be posted in the Discord. Guys, I truly appreciate each and every one of you joining the call tonight, because that just makes sure that you're actually serious about your business. And ultimately, we're all here to take names, cash checks, and call our goddamn leads. So anyways, love you guys. Love every one of you. Even if you're not a syndicate member, I still love you because you're clearly a follower. You've seen my post. I appreciate you guys. Have a good night. Okay, bye. Go away. Go away. Go away.